Hello and good evening, motorsports enthusiasts the world over. Welcome to round one of the NRL 6th season. My name is Toon and I'm accompanied by two lovely gentlemen. I'm talking about Leo and Slow-Mo. Leo, it's the first time we've seen you in the booth this season. How are you feeling to be back?
Man, it's been a adventure, dude. Between life stuff and work stuff. Been struggling with all that, but I am so happy to be back. I can't wait to see what these guys are gonna do. Front wheel drive action and a tomahawk. Those are like my two favorite things.
Really happy to hear that. Slow-Mo, as Leo alluded to, we have an interesting series of races tonight with the TT and the Tomahawk Group 1 car. Now that we've had time to process these combos, how are you feeling about what we have in store for tonight?
Toon, I am absolutely thrilled for tonight's races. There are a couple of different really good, viable strategies that we might see some of these drivers execute. So a lot of different options for these guys to approach today's race. Really excited to see how it plays out and what tire strategies and how these guys are going to make this happen today. I expect some very close racing throughout today.
Oh, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Now, before we get into the action, we would like to thank our lovely sponsors. We'd like to start off with thanking the DGDR podcast. This high-octane weekly podcast is where four drivers from the PDX Sim team take you inside the world of motorsport and sim racing. From breaking news to heated debates, wild stories to pro tips, these guys cover all with passion, humor, and just the right amount of chaos. For your podcast fix, these are available on all platforms with new weekly episodes dropped every Monday. We would also like to thank Hankey's Tavern, situated in charming Old Town Florissant in St. Louis, Missouri. If great food, great drinks, and great company are what you're looking for, then look no further than Hankey's Tavern. If you're in the St. Louis area, then stop on by and watch the NRL broadcast live on their many large screen TVs and let them know the NRL sent you. Turning streams and side hustles into smart money moves, whether you're building a small business, growing a brand, or cashing in on streaming income, will help you track earnings, maximize deductions, and keep more of what you work for. You focus on building, and we've handled the numbers. Thank you, Little J CPA. We also want to take time to thank Lithograph Comics. Lithograph Comics is not a store, but rather a comic book enthusiast bringing awareness to the hobby and the comic book collecting community. Located on Instagram, you'll find Greg, aka Litho, sharing comic book history, stories, and his personal collection spanning a 35-plus year comic book journey. That's Lithograph Comics on Instagram, and you can scan the QR code for more information. Written by Lawrence Brown, better known as Tuzzenbox, embark on an epic journey as we accompany Mist, a young man trained by his father in the art of swordsmanship. After honing his skills at a weapons academy, he becomes a wandering traveler exploring new lands and meeting new people. During his travels, Mist witnesses a catastrophic event that engrosses him in a grand plot that can mean the difference between the safety of his family, friends, and homeland, or the destruction of not just his home, but the entire planet. The Mist Chronicles trilogy is now available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle formats. Thank you all so much for your support this season. Now, with all of that said, let's go get into the nitty-gritty on what our drivers will be racing in the first round of Season 6 Division B race. For our Division B race, we head over to beautiful Italy, where we are at Sardinia Layout B Reverse in the Audi TT Group 4 car. There will be a 10-minute qualifier, there will be racing softs and racing mediums available with no required tires. It'll be 23 laps with 4 times tire, 4 times fuel, heavy damage, and an initial fuel level. Also, BOP will be on with brake balance allowed. Making our way over to the points scoring, Slow-Mo, would you be so kind as to enlighten us as how the points work this season?
Absolutely. Thank you, Toon. So our race winner today is going to end up with that coveted 25-point total there. Second place getting 18, third with 15, and you see the remainder of the points down below that. Keep in mind these guys can get a extra bonus point for the fastest lap, and that point is awarded only if that driver is in the top 10. So 14 overall top finishing drivers today, or I'm sorry, the top 14 overall drivers throughout the season are going to be able to move on to the finals after the third round.
Thank you very much, Slow-Mo. Taking a look over at the driver lineup for this race, we have Corridor 71, Fernando Button, Hondo, IORT Fishtail, MK3TTSKR, NVR Crew Lob 11, PHG Strick 9, Santa Miguel, Sheldologist, Stumpy, Sugar Shuffles, and Zilla. Listed next to their names are their YouTube and or Twitch channels, should they be available. And if you want, feel free to go and check them out, as they are probably streaming this race, but make sure you leave a tab open and unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. All right, so from everything I've heard, this is not your typical front engine, front wheel drive car. From what I have heard, you can really kick the rear end out in an FF car with this Audi. Leo, Slow-Mo, I know you guys both got on track with this car. Starting with you, Slow-Mo, what were your thoughts on just driving this car from an outside perspective?
I made a lot of mistakes driving this car that I didn't expect to happen. So it seems like it is a little bit easier to get the car unsettled than you would expect with it being a front wheel drive vehicle. But it was a lot of fun. That car's got some giddy up, and I think these guys have certainly mastered how to get it around the track. So we're in for some very tight racing tonight.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for some bumper-to-bumper racing. Leo, what were your thoughts on the car when you were driving it around?
Toon, I'm not a fan of it. I'm gonna be honest. It's a front-wheel drive car. You think I would be? I had to unlearn a lot of things that I know from the Mazda to this car. I figured it out as the night went on, but it's a very difficult car to drive. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, let's see if these drivers have been putting in the practice and figured out how to wrangle in this raging bull of a car. As we jump into qualifying and on board with RSR Zilla. Now, RSR Zilla is finishing or currently working on the outlap. Looks like everybody's keeping it relatively close in terms of placement on the track. And I see Zilla is also on the racing softs. Located on the left of the screen, you'll see a driver card for RSR Zilla, where he is driving a Fanatec CSL-DD on a manual transmission with no season points so far, as we have just started. And you can find him on YouTube at RSR_Zilla. The Audi, in terms of FF cars, was not something I was honestly expecting, because when you hear front engine, front wheel drive car, your brain kind of jumps to like what, the Suzuki Swift, the Mazda 3, which probably is why Leo isn't a fan of any other FF car. What other front engine car? Isn't there the Scirocco's FF, is it not, Leo?
Correct. The Scirocco is an FF car.
All right. And now we are jumping on board with Corridor 71, who is leading the charge on these hot laps. And coming up into turn 2, let's see how he takes this in a very, well, naturally understeery machine. Wow, actually, I'm starting to think there's not really a whole lot of understeer. Did PD fix these? Yeah, he's just running this thing normally, and he is zooming. 27 through the first time check. Getting a little squirrely, which was alluded to by not only our beautiful commentators here, but also other drivers that have been driving this car. He's definitely dancing around the track with this thing, revving the daylights out of it too. That might be the optimal way to drive this, if I had to guess. Now, I do see Corridor is rocking a very lovely stand-up to cancer livery. I wonder if that was made by Sugar Shuffles. And coming around towards, what is that, the antepenultimate corner. How is he going to take this? A lot of lifted coast back onto the throttle. Ooh, getting a little squirrely. Yeah, this thing does not behave like an FF car, just from the looks of it. And around the final corner, and looks like not getting onto the curbing and belting it out. Let's see what the initial hot lap time is going to be as he comes across the start-finish line to start his second hot lap. Looks like it is going to be a 1:27.01, and Sheld comes in with a 1:27.243. So looks like Sheld's already taken the throne as we jump on board with Santa Miguel in the Bluey Mobile, coming across the line with a 127.490. So it looks like 127s might be the common denominator here, unless somebody busts out a 26 within the next 7 minutes of this qualifier. Now, Santa Miguel is part of Team Papa House the game on the Logitech Pro Wheel manual transmission, and you can find them on YouTube at North Pole Racing. Ooh, coming through the Banky Boy for the layout B reverse, and already up 0.03 of a second. On to the next bank, and rides it nicely. Very well done. As I'm looking at the sideboard for other drivers coming across, we've got Crew Love that came across with a 127.559. So yeah, looks like these times are looking really close to each other, Leo. Do you think it's going to stay that way, or do you think we're going to start seeing people get into a rhythm within the next few minutes?
I would say they're probably going to get into a rhythm. You know, the first few laps, they got to shake the nerves off. They got everybody in there. They're wanting to gauge what everybody's going to do, and then they're going to full send it when they got that low fuel. Oh wait, fuel's off. I apologize. Sorry.
Yep, so I don't think anybody's going to be able to milk fuel or milk their tire wear on this one. It's just absolutely send it. But as we see Miguel coming across the start-finish line to start the third hot lap, what's the time going to be? It's going to be a 127.325. Not enough to take pole position, but a 1/10.5 up on his previous fastest lap. Sheld is currently sitting at a 127.205. Honestly, if Sheld can really get into a rhythm, we might see him break into the 126s first. Jumping on over to Strict 9, starting his third hot lap, and doing a lot of lift and coast. It looks like lifting and coasting is definitely the safe way to go through this. I don't know if that was intentional or if he missed the apex, but he got around pretty quickly and is up almost 0.2 of a second on his personal fastest. Santa Miguel in P2 right now. It looks like Sugar Shuffles has jumped up to P3. Now, Strict 9 is also a part of Team Papa's House of Game on the Thrustmaster T598 on an automatic transmission. That I did not expect. So looks like we've got a couple different transmission methods here. So we're gonna have to see which one's gonna be more beneficial. Now, looking on over in the picture-in-picture, you'll see that we have Sugar Shuffle's perspective. Again, you're more than welcome to check out the drivers that are broadcasting their perspectives. But again, please make sure you leave this tab unmuted so you don't miss any of the action outside of the broadcast. And as Strict 9 comes around the final corner, what is this time going to be? It looks like he's carrying quite a bit of momentum there. I think we might see a good 27 here, and as he's nearing the line, it's going to be a 127.569, just shaved over 1/4 of a second off his time. And it also looked like Zilla was able to as well.
Tune, while we were watching that, Sheldala just went ahead and improved his time and went ahead and put up a 126.714. So we're in the 26s officially.
Yep, I did say Sheld would be the first to do it, and now the question is, how far into the 26s can Sheld go with only a little over 3 minutes left in this qualifier? Looks like Villa's down about 0.06 of a second and outbrakes himself and goes into the gravel for a split second. It could have been a whole lot worse, but luckily he was able to get the car back on track without any real issue. Take a look at Krulov, who's down almost 0.08 of a second. Krulov still has enough time and pace to shave off those times and probably overtake Corridor if possible. Coming on up the hill, revving the daylights out of this car. Yeah, it's looking like the strategy for going up the hill is just rev the car out as much as possible, and I think let the turbo do the rest of the work. Unfortunately, it looks like he's down a little over 1/10, so I don't think it's going to be right there where he makes up any time. Krulov is a part of Team New Velocity Racing on the Logitech Pro Wheel with a manual transmission. And as we see Krulov heading up into the final corner, how is he going to take this? Getting onto the bank and using all the track he can and just belting it on down. I think getting as close to the curb as possible might be the play there, Leo.
Getting onto the curb, you know, it's kind of dangerous. This car gets really upset with that.
All right. Well, it gets upset how? Because, I mean, it is a FF cars, so one uneducated such as myself might assume that, since the engine's right on top of the driving wheel, it should be more planted, wouldn't it?
You would generally think so. Unfortunately, there is curbs on this track that you can touch and ones that you cannot. The flat ones, the car does not get upset at all and does not want to kill the rear end and make it do some weird things. This car acts really weird on the more triangulated curbs, and it just throws it off. And it's I don't know how to describe it essentially because it's so odd how it does it, but it's not friendly to touch the curbs here.
Okay, so this car is pretty much just an anomaly in its own class then?
Indeed, I would think so.
All right, that definitely clarifies it. Thank you for that. And as we take a look at Fishtail, who's coming in to finish lap 6, and looks like he was down 16 thousandths of a second. Just right there. Moving on into turn 1. It's definitely holding the plan to get a little squirrely and onto the grass, but it's able to save it. That could have been a whole lot worse. Looks like Fishtail was able to carry a lot of momentum and was able to catch up to Miguel. Now, if this were an actual race, this would be a prime opportunity, but since this is qualifying, I don't think it's really going to do too many favors, but he is almost 500th of a second down on his fastest time, or up on his fastest time. My apologies, depends on how you want to look at that. And coming in and over towards the hill, will he be able to capitalize on any more? Would he be able to capitalize on any slipstream from Miguel? That's also an important question. Coming into the bank, those tires begging for mercy, and looks like Miguel is off into the gravel doing a spot of rally crossing, and good avoiding action from Fishtail. Coming around the bend and over towards the penultimate corner, what are we going to see from Fishtail? Coming on to the curb, clipping the grass a little bit, and is able to keep it pointed in the right direction. Final corner, how is Fishtail going to tackle this one? And uses all the track available to him, getting a little bit on the blue and just belting it on out. I think Fishtail may have set a new personal fastest lap right here. And coming across the line is going to be a 1:27.637, down 800ths, and it looks like Miguel was down 2.5. So it looks like there were no last-second upsets, but we'll have to go and take a look at the classified qualifying results after everybody has crossed the line. All in all, I would say that was a pretty good qualifying. Oh, and Krulov goes and dethrones Zilla at the last moment. Wouldn't be the NRL without a last-minute upset. Well done, Krulov. Now, I believe that should be just about everybody. So, I think we had a pretty good qualifier there. What do you think, Slemmo?
Oh, 100%. It loves seeing that last minute update to the scoreboard there. That's always fun during the qualifying. Like I said, this is going to be a tight race. These these guys are ready to rumble, and I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. Now, getting into classified qualifying results, starting pole position will be PHG Sheldologist with an astounding 1:26.714. Followed closely behind by a little over a quarter of a second with NVR Krulub 11, with RSR Zilla rounding out our top 3 with a 1:27.098. Making our way down the grid, we have Corridor and Sugar Shuffles running out our top 5. Those two are separated by not even a whole tenth of a second. Going further down the grid, we've got Santa Miguel, Stumpy, PHG Shriek 9, Fishtail, Fernando Button rounding out our top 10, MK3TT SKR, and Hondo rounding out our drivers. Nobody got above a 1:27, so I definitely see a pattern here. And with all of these qualifying times being that close, Slemmo, do you think that's going to be indicative of the overall race pace for these drivers tonight?
I do, yeah. I mean, I think you're not going to see those guys too terribly far off that pace, even on mediums. So that's not going to be too far off what you're going to see throughout the race.
I didn't even take into consideration the medium tires. I know those were available, but I didn't really take into consideration what the overall race pace would be like. Leo, did you happen to hop on both tires while you were practicing?
I did not, unfortunately. In our practice, I forgot to buy them. So I only know about the softs, but I would suspect maybe a 1.5 time difference, maybe 2 seconds slower than the softs. That is my best guesstimate, unfortunately, because I didn't buy them.
You know what? That's okay. We all make mistakes, and luckily, we'll be able to just watch and learn as we always do. And I think that element of surprise is going to be even better for us just because we won't know what to expect in terms of time differences. So we can have our expectations blown out of the water, as is NRL tradition. But while we get ready for the race to get underway, Leo, do you have any uh, Leo and Slomo, do you guys happen to have any predictions for this race? Do you think it's going to be interesting lap one, or do you think everybody's going to kind of give each other some breathing room?
I think people are gonna have to give each other space on this track going into turn one. It's a very tight corner. You can't go too wide there, unfortunately. I hope these guys don't full send it lap one, turn one. It'd be cool for us to watch, but not so cool for them to mess up their whole race.
Oh, well, yeah, naturally. But luckily, we've got 23 laps of this, so anybody can bounce back. You know how this league works. Anything can happen. Slomo, do you got any predictions for this race? Do you think it's going to be really close? Do you think there's going to be carnage lap one?
I don't know if we're going to see carnage. I definitely know we're going to see a couple mistakes made just with the way this car is throughout the race. Whether it equates to carnage, that's always hard to say. But I think these guys are going to keep it pretty classy and tidy throughout the first few laps. So just one quick point of information I wanted to correct. There are a group of drivers that got points during qualifying. So you will, as the player cards come up, you will see a couple guys that already have acquired some points. And that's because they finished in the top third of their group through qualifying. So there will be some drivers out there with 3 points currently.
Oh, thank you for that, Slomo. That completely slipped my mind. All right, and with all of that said, I guess my prediction for this race, I think it's going to be relatively clean. This track doesn't look like on like the cameras that it's a great overtaking track, but I mean the drivers are the ones actually on the circuit, so I think we are going to be seeing some pretty insane overtakes. But where those overtakes happen, that is just for for time to really tell. I don't know. I'm really expecting a really, really good race here. Really close racing. But with that said, I think it's just about time we get ready to see how this race is going to transpire, and we can, see if any of our guesses were correct. So let's go and take a look on track. And drivers are lined up, getting ready for a rolling start for this race. A lot of people that have been here before. We've got some new faces as well. So I think we're going to be seeing some upsets to, whatever pre-established norms there were. But as they get ready to come across the line, and they are off. So Sheldologist is going to be leading this pack of Hungry Piranhas coming up towards turn one. And we're going to have to see how this shakes up. They're all bunched up really close. Got to drive safe, got to drive respectfully. And, yep, everybody's keeping it nice and neat. There's really no drama to speak of, and everybody gets through turn one without a hitch. Coming up into turn two, and looks like Sheld is starting to slowly pull away from the other drivers. It looks like he was able to carry just a hair more speed. Never mind, Krulov is right back into the fray as he is just right on the bumper. Took a half-second gap to just a little over a quarter of a second. Coming into the bank, I hear some tires squealing, and it looks like we've got at least Krulov starting on the medium tires. Coming up towards the hill. Oh, yes, Slomo?
Yeah, I was going to say, everybody, so Zilla, Stumpy, and Fernando are the only drivers that elected to start on the soft compounds here.
Oh, okay. That should be interesting to see how that shakes up, especially because some of these drivers are in the middle of the pack. Now, taking a look at Miguel, it looks like he might have a good opportunity to get past Sugar Shuffles. Should he get onto the start-finish straight with this amount of slipstream, he might be able to get a nice slingshot going. And coming up into the final corner. How is this going to transpire? There is a little bit of dirty air, and looks like Miguel runs a little wide. Looks like it slowed him down just a hair, but he hasn't lost any ground to Sugar Shuffles. So this start-finish straight is probably going to be where we're seeing a lot of the overtakes happening, just due to the slipstream. And will we see a bump draft coming into turn one? Doesn't look like it. Lifting off and downshifting a little bit and avoiding action. Some beautiful racing, if I may say. Looks like Fernando Button over in P9 has his fair share of battling ahead of him, as he's got Strict 9 just straight ahead of him. And it looks like he is gaining as well. Coming into the downhill section, this downhill braking zone could spell the doom for many an unsuspecting driver. Coming in and getting onto the bank and gets through just fine. Well done from Fernando, but it looks like Strict 9 was able to carry a little more momentum and is pulling away ever so slightly. But coming up into the uphill section, it looks like Fernando is not going to go down without a fight. He is right there, and coming into the next bank, we've got bumper-to-bumper action ahead. We've got Fernando all over Strict 9 now. And looks like he's got purple for this, but then again, everybody's going purple. Everybody gets to enjoy a good moment like this. Coming over into the penultimate corner. How is this going to shake up with Stumpy and Miguel as they are side by side? Can they get through this two abreast? And looks like Stumpy tries to send it. They are keeping it as clean as possible. A little door-to-door action. No real drama. Oh, we've got a little bit of a squabble there, but nobody's really to blame. And coming into the start-finish straight, looks like Stumpy is going to be ahead for the moment as Strict 9 is trying to lead the charge. Oh, looks like that a little bit of argy-bargy slowed down Stumpy enough to where Fernando can get an overtake done. He does have the inside line, and he makes the overtake, but can he make it stick? We've got two other drivers that are just chomping at the bits for those points. Leo, what do you think about what we're seeing so far?
Typical Group 4 close racing, man. They're not the fastest things in the world. They're way more controllable. And it's very typical to see this in Group 4 racing. Fantastic showing, though. They're not pushing each other out of the way. They're not doing anything crazy. They're not trying to pit maneuver each other. That's the fantastic driving I love to see in the NRL.
Oh, I love seeing it too. And honestly, for a second, just due to how close this racing was, I forgot this was a Group 4 car, and I thought we were watching a touring car race, just due to how action-packed that last lap was. And speaking of action, jumping on over to Sugar Shuffles, who is currently up in P5, about 3/4 of a second behind Corridor, and about 1.25 seconds ahead of Strict 9. Looks like Sugar Shuffles does have a little bit of breathing room. Corridor dips his toe into the stand for a moment, and then belts it on out. Run a teensy bit wide on the exit of that corner, but it looks like he was doing it in the name of carrying some momentum, as he is now just pulling away a little bit more. So I think Sugar Shuffles might have a bit of a task ahead of him, as he also goes up about 3/4 of a second on his personal fastest lap, as these drivers really get into their rhythm. Coming into turn one itself, and Sugar Shuffles is definitely belting it out through the corner exit, and is definitely trying to stay close to Corridor as best as possible. Looks like Strict 9 is starting to gain on dear old Sugar Shuffles right now, taking that gap to about the 1 second mark. So this is going to be a game of tug-of-war in all honesty, and I just noticed, I think Corridor and Sugar Shuffles are in the same livery, so that is pretty nice to see. Now jumping on over to Corridor, who is about 1.5 seconds behind the podium runner in Zilla. He's got plenty of time to make up any lost ground, as we're only on lap 4 of 23. Those tires are already being put to the test, because we are only on lap 4, and I'm already seeing some tire degradation. And it looks like Corridor is down only 0.02 of a second and is actually gaining on Zilla. Well, at least he was for a moment, as he's slingshotting between about 1.25 seconds to 1.5 seconds. Seems to be pulling away from Sugar Shuffles at the moment, so I think Corridor is trying to shake Sugar Shuffles off his tail. That way he can try and focus on getting into a battle for those coveted podium positions. Slow-mo, as we're going through this, what are your thoughts on how we've seen our drivers compose themselves this first almost quarter of a race?
Oh, no surprise. Very composed. Everybody is trying to keep themselves in it. There's plenty of laps still to run. You certainly don't want to end up getting any of that heavy damage and having to go into the pits and, change tires early. As we see, a nice move there. Stumpy trying to get by Santa Miguel. Not able to quite get it done there, but he is working hard on that bumper of San Miguel right now.
Oh yeah, and those softs are definitely looking a little worse for wear. Stumpy does have the inside line. They are going too wide through this corner, and it looks like they are going to remain too wide across this corner. That is just some fantastic driving from these two drivers. Honestly, I think they might be able to successfully pull off running an entire lap too wide if they keep this up. Looks like Santa Miguel has a little bit more momentum coming up the hill, but will Stumpy be able to have a retort for that? Doesn't look like it so far. Santa Miguel trying to cover the inside as best as possible, trying not to leave that door open. Looks like Stumpy is down a little over a second on his personal fastest lap, but luckily we still have a ton of racing action left ahead of us. And looks like Santa Miguel is going to be pulling away just ever so slightly. This car is putting in a whole lot more work than I originally anticipated. Coming into the final corner, we've got Santa Miguel with a confident and comfortable place ahead of Stumpy at the moment. But if that last lap was anything to go off of, these two will be exchanging pleasantries again in the very near future as they come across the line for the 5th time of asking to start lap 6. Now, this car, Leo, yeah, it does not behave like your standard Group 4 car. I really think this is a more powerful touring car, just given the way it handles and just given how these drivers can really just thrash this thing around. Like, from P1 all the way to P12, everybody's able to just chuck this thing in regardless of your tire compounds. Do you think this is going to be the pace for the rest of the race, or do you think something's going to give?
It depends on how much they love their tires. With this car, it is kind of a touring car. At one point in time, I do believe there was an Audi TT Cup. So there was, at one point, a full grid of Audi TTs going around racetracks. So I could see that being more of a touring car. But with it being front-wheel drive, these guys have got to remember to keep them tires alive. So it may give later, I think.
Well, you did bring up the fact that it is a front-wheel drive car, and we did also mention that in the race details that brake balance was allowed. When you were doing your practice, what did you have your brake balance set to?
So initially I had it 5 to the rear because I was full thinking Mazda Speed 3. That's how I was rolling, and I couldn't get the thing to rotate into the corner at all until talking to a few of the drivers, and they're like, hey, start with putting it all the way to the front and then work your way back. And that seemed to actually help me understand this car a little bit more than when I first got into it.
Okay, I've never actually heard anybody say, okay, put it in one position and then move it, because most people with brake balance, you set the brake balance and then you're off and you don't think about it for the remainder of the race. So it's a real interesting take. Now, speaking of interesting, it looks like Krulov and Sheld have pulled away from Zilla in P3. So it looks like Zilla is going to have to focus more on trying to defend his podium position as opposed to trying to get more podium positions, as we've got Corridor all over his tail, Sugar Shuffles in tow, and we've also got Strict 9 within earshot along with Fernando Button and Santa Miguel. So outside of, P1 and P2, the rest of the grid is still so close together that one mistake could be devastating for anybody trying to gain positions right now, because it looks like you won't lose one, you might lose 2, 3, up to 4. But it looks like these drivers are going to be unfazed by that as they come up towards turn 1 for lap 8. It looks like Sugar Shuffles gave Corridor a little bit of breathing room, although it looks like Sugar Shuffles would have been able to carry a little more momentum out of there if there was a more clean track ahead of him. So it's shaping up to be a pretty solid 3-way bout for P3. Now, who's going to take it? I'm not sure. We're going to have to wait and see, but it does look like Zilla ran a little bit wide. Is that going to cost him any ground? It doesn't appear to be so. Now, I do want to take a quick moment to also give a special thank you to Fernando Button for the $50 donation earlier in the broadcast. My apologies for just now getting to it, but thank you so very much. Every little bit goes a long way, and all proceeds from super chats, super stickers, and Swiss bank account transfers to McNaughty go straight into the driver pool for, well, our talented drivers, our hardworking producers, and us up here in the booth. If you can't contribute monetarily, your viewership is more than enough. We are honored and privileged to be able to entertain you this fine evening. Jumping over to Strict 9, who is apparently turning this into a four-way bout for P3. This is going to either be beautiful or this is going to get ugly with how close these drivers are to getting that last step on the podium. Looks like we've got some drivers going into the pits. Oh, looks like it was just Zilla going into the pits. So that shoots Corridor up into 3, Sugar Shovels up into 4, and Strict 9 up into P5. That pit stop may put Zilla back quite a bit, but he is, I think he is the first soft runner to come in the I think he's the first soft runner to come into the pits this race, and I just don't see what's going to happen. But Slow-Mo, how's everything looking over on your end?
Well, yeah, one interesting thing, the fastest lap right now is held by a driver that's been running mediums, not soft. The soft drivers are already hitting the pits. So very interesting to see that the medium runners are outpacing the guys that took softs. They might have been able to get a couple positions, but look how quickly they're already going into the pits. Very possible we see a medium strategy from some of these guys today that could be a very viable option.
I did recall you mentioning something that one of the drivers stated. I can't remember who, and I apologize for that. But they said look for the front runners to be running mediums. And looks like that is definitely coming into fruition because we're about at the halfway point for the race. And those mediums still have a good amount of life in them. Honestly, given the way this is looking, it looks like when they come into the pits, yeah, we're on lap 10. They have half a tank of fuel. It might just be tires and a splash and dash. If I was to wager a guess, would I be correct in that assumption there, Slow-Mo? Oh. All right. While we wait for Slow-Mo, Leo, we've got. Honestly, I did not expect this to be this intense. Like, we still got a three-way shootout for this last podium step, and I don't know who is going to take it, because we've got 3 medium runners. They're all running very similar pace. They all have, the merits to get on that podium. But if you just had to wager like any sort of guess, do you think we're going to be seeing these 3 doing the shootout all the way to the end, or do you think somebody might be able to break away from this, this heated battle for this last podium spot?
I think it's going to be a shootout for these guys all the way to the end. They're going to stay glued to each other. All 3 of them are on mediums, so there's no tire advantage. They're just going to have to wait for someone to either make a mistake or I couldn't tell you, because one wrong move and it's game over for one of these guys. I would say they may need to back off a little bit at the moment just due to the tire wear, just so they can preserve them for as long as they can go. And maybe pit strategy wise, maybe outmaneuver them that way.
Pit strategy could be the determining factor here. But I don't know at what lap which constitutes an overcut and which constitutes an undercut, because these tires look like they could run you up until almost the final lap. The rear tires will run you the entire race, but the front tires are the real ones you got to keep an eye out for. And speaking of keeping an eye on stuff, Sheldologist has been making Krulov work for this race lead position. These two have been really conjoined at the hip the entire race. I know we haven't been really putting a focus on them, but my goodness, the racing these two are doing is just world class. They are giving it everything they've got. They are like they're battling, but they're also not slowing each other down at the same time, because Krulov and Sheld have an over 6-second gap to P3 and Corridor, so they're really in a battle of their own. And as they start lap 12, yes, these these medium tires, I beg your pardon, are starting to show some more wear and degradation, but it's I don't know. I think they've got at least another 5 laps worth of battling in them if they want to go that route. But if I were personally in the car, I don't know. Maybe I'd pit within the next lap or two. It's too dodgy for my liking. That's why I like sitting comfortably up here in the booth. Now, looks like Krulov is gaining even more on Sheld, and they are definitely not going to go down without a fight in this battle for the race lead. Looks like Sheld's able to hold on. He's doing some great defensive driving, mind you. He's keeping all those doors closed. He's taking every defensive line he can. He is really making it in both a metaphorical and a literal standpoint, an uphill battle for Krulov to try and get this race lead position. And if Krulov keeps at this, well, he might be able to get a slingshot on the start-finish straight at just the right time. But it's still too soon to tell as we are nearing the end of lap 12. Now coming into the final corner, and looks like Krulov gets a little bit of the curb, and Sheld decides to use a little bit more of the track. Doesn't look like Sheld is aiming for the pits. Nope. Oh, looks like Sheld baited Krulov into the pits.
Yeah, he did the fakey there.
I didn't even consider people doing the fake out. That is some 200 IQ racing right there. But Leo, we've now got Corridor and company up in P2. We've got Krulov down in P8 for the pit stop. Do you think going into the pits a little earlier is going to give Krulov that opportunity to climb back up the rankings and take the P1 position?
I do. However, it kind of makes me worried because there's only 10 laps left, and a lot of these other guys have made their pit stop, so he's going to have an uphill battle getting back up there. The craziest thing in my head that I'm thinking of right now is, what if Shell doesn't pit at all?
Since there's no required tires, you could try and no stop it, but I don't think the fuel could. Oh wait, fuel mapping is the thing. Never mind. Yeah, I guess we could see no stops. I didn't even put that into like the nearest like zip code for possibilities. So do you honestly think we could see no stoppers?
It would be so sketchy. I don't know if these guys would want to try that. They'd have to really slow it down in order to make that work. And Shell made me a liar. Never mind. He went into the pits.
All right, so Sheld's in. Well, Sheld did have 29% fuel left, and looks like Sugar Shuffles is going in as well. Corridor staying out, so I think Corridor might be trying a sort of overcut. That puts Strychnine into P2, Santa Miguel into P3, and that moves Hondo up into P5 with Fishtail in P4. And yeah, Corridor's at a quarter of a tank of fuel. I don't think the cars have a big enough fuel tank to be able to run a no-stopper. As miraculous as it would be, I don't know. Slomo, do you think we would have been able to see a no-stopper if people played with their fuel map settings?
I mean, I think it might have been possible, but I don't know that you'd have been able to keep up the pace of what they're doing right now and still done the no-stopper. And, if you look at the guys that have been into the pits, here we go, Krulov and Sheldologist are right by each other. Everybody from 1 to 6 still needs to make a pit stop likely. So I would imagine that these guys will be right up front after that happens.
Yeah, it's definitely looking like that. I thought it would have set them back a little further, but if P1 through 6 still need to go in box, then yeah, I think everything's gonna kind of level out. And I think in the case of at least Corridor, if he goes into the pits now, he is gonna have some battling when he hops on out. Now, taking a look over at Fishtail, Corridor does go into the pits. Will we be seeing other drivers? It looks like we've got Strychnine going in. Miguel, Fishtail, and Hondo are staying out, though. So I think we might be seeing people try to go for the overcut of the set. Never mind. Hold on. Fishtail has way more fuel than some of the other drivers. Actually, I think Fishtail might have enough fuel in him to try and go for a no-stopper, but does he have enough medium tire left, Leo?
I don't think so, unfortunately. He's going to have to play with the gearing to make sure he keeps that wheel speed down and keep them front tires from spinning out. Probably turn on traction control. I know that makes no sense, but it will help slow down the tire speed to just preserve those tires.
Oh, I see Sheld has actually opted for the soft tires. So with how many laps left? About 8 laps left. I think those soft tires could actually last the duration of the race. And Sheld is on softs, and he is just blistering around this track. He is gaining on MK3 pretty quickly, and it looks like he's starting to leave Krulov in the dust a tiny bit, but looks like not by much. So Krulov's definitely going to be trying to carry on this race-long rivalry with Sheldologist, but I don't know if it's going to be to the same effect as it was previously. Now, Sheld is starting to give himself about a 1 second gap between himself and Krulov. Miguel has gone into the pits, and looks like Fishtail is staying out. I don't think we're going to be seeing Fishtail go into the pits whatsoever. This is fantastic to see, honestly. I thought it was a pipe dream, and Sheldologist sets the fastest lap of the race so far with a 1:27.657. So we are definitely in for some more action because Sheld is just moving on Hondo. That gap is just plummeting and plummeting like a boulder going down a hill. Now, it looks like Krulov is about 1.5 seconds away, so not in, proper battling position, but, he's still got enough time to make something happen in these last 7 laps. As we see Sheldologist go purple by 1/10, jumping on over to Corridor, who is about a little over 1/4 second behind Stumpy. Oh, and he is gaining on Stumpy quickly. Those racing soft tires are about to put in some work. Coming into the bank, and it looks like Stumpy's able to hold on to the position right now, carried a good amount of speed, and honestly, now that I'm seeing more drivers hop on the softs, I think we might not see a medium. I think it's going to break down to a medium soft, or in Fishtail's case, a no-stopper. Now, it looks like Corridor is trying to get on the inside of Stumpy, but Stumpy wasn't going to have any of that. There wasn't enough speed, but can Corridor try on this corner? No, it doesn't look like it. Stumpy is going to keep that door shut tightly. Now coming up into the next corner, it looks like Corridor might have an opportunity, but doesn't look like it. And Hondo has gone into the pits as well, so that's going to propel Sheldologist into P2. Corridor's on the inside there, borderline 2 wide coming down the start-finish straight. Who is going to win this heated drag race for P6? It's looking like it's going to be Stumpy, but by not very much. And coming over into the start-finish line, it looks like Corridor's kind of losing a little bit of ground to Stumpy at the moment. And moving up into turn 1, Corridor will acquiesce the position and fall in behind Stumpy. That way there's no unnecessary drama. So Corridor gave it a very valiant effort, but it looks like he may have slowed himself down just a little too much, Leo. That gap's almost a second now.
Yeah, it's hard to tell what these guys are thinking, but it's maybe the nerves are getting to him, and that's why he slowed down a little bit. Maybe he took the wrong apex, something like that. It's getting to crunch time, and these guys are going to try anything and everything to get around these people.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And now that we've also got what I would assume the last person coming into the pit stop, because it looks like Fishtail is going to live and die on the hill of a no-stopper for this, and I mean, in which case, come on, Fishtail, let's see what you can do. So some of these drivers do have racing softs that are in a little bit better shape than their competitors, Hondo being on the freshest of the soft tires. Do you think in these last 6 laps, Hondo might be in prime position to make up some places, seeing as how he is on the freshest of the soft tires?
I think he does. If he plays his cards right, kind of gets used to how they're feeling, because I think he was on the mediums for a good while, but he's going to have to push it, though. to make up some ground. I mean, Zilla's what, almost a second in front of him. He's going to have to make some ground up some way or another, but he does have the superior tire. Also want to throw out that Shell has made up about 3 seconds to Fishtail in the last couple of laps.
Yeah, and I was about to touch on Fishtail's tires. Those things are not looking too hot whatsoever. We got 5 laps left. That front left is almost done. He's down about a half a second on his personal best lap. And yeah, Sheld is just chomping away at this time. So if Fishtail can keep his momentum and Sheld keeps the momentum he's got, then I don't think we'll be seeing Sheld versus Fishtail until maybe the antepenultimate lap or maybe the penultimate lap. I don't know. I think Fishtail may have to abandon the no stopper and try going in and getting on some fresh tires. I just do not see the viability of this no stopper working out whatsoever. But then again, history with the NRL has proven me wrong many a time. It looks like Sheld has about a 7.2 second deficit between himself and Fishtail, so Fishtail does have a good amount of breathing room, but until that checkered flag drops in 4 laps, he is not out of the woods by any mean. Now, taking a look at Stumpy versus Corridor, this has actually been a very good battle for the entirety of this race, and looks like Sugar Shuffles has capitalized the most on this battle between himself and the aforementioned Stumpy and Corridor, as he is about 7 and almost a half seconds ahead of these two battling for P5. But my God, what a battle it is. These two are doing everything they can. I see Corridors on the softs, and did I see Stumpy on the mediums?
Correct. He is on the mediums.
Okay, so we've got a battle of tire compounds too. I like that. Now, speaking of battles, we've got Strict 9 trying to get a nice overtake on Zilla for that lovely P7. It also looks like Hondo is trying to throw his hat into this ring. He might be able to get a 2-for-1 special if he plays his cards right. Looks like Zilla understeers a little bit and is able to hold on, but just from Hondo. So it looks like Strict 9 will be able to pull away just a little bit, but those two going side by side is definitely a sight to behold. Coming up into the final corner, who's going to have a better corner exit here? Will it be Zilla? Will it be Hondo? And it looks like it might be RSR Zilla, because I don't really see much of a gap between those two. Oh, never mind. It looks like Hondo on the soft tires and the slipstream is going to be able to capitalize on this, but does he have enough to slingshot? He's on the inside line, and it looks like Zilla will give up the position to Hondo for the time being. Will it stick? I have no idea. But given the way these two, well, really all of these drivers are battling, it looks like none of these positions are going to be set in stone. Stumpy's fuel tank's looking a little worse than Corridor's, though, right now, Leo, and his medium tires aren't looking too hot either. Do you think Stumpy's going to have to focus on defend? Oh, my goodness, there are more cars now. So never mind, scratch my question. The new question is, how hard is Stumpy going to have to defend?
Yes, that is my answer. He's going to have to defend till the moon comes up and goes down and the sun comes up. He's going to have to fight for his life here soon, because I saw the Congo line of cars coming and they're hunting him down.
Oh yeah, slow-mo with everybody bunching up towards the tail end of this race. Do you think we're going to be seeing any last-second overtakes, or do you think it's going to be everybody defending for dear life?
You know, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, we know Fishtail's tires are not great. You can see Sheldologist and Crew Love are both closing on him. Sheldologist is on the softs. Crew Love is actually on the medium, so he did do a medium. And, you know, he's two and a half seconds back from Sheldologist. So Shell is definitely getting some traction and able to keep that gap between him and Crew Love, but both of them are closing on Fishtail. So it may shape up to be a photo finish here at the end.
Honestly, I am hoping we see a photo finish, because that's just the kind of magic that this racing league provides. And yeah, Sheld is now within a little under 4 seconds behind Fishtail as we are nearing the second to last lap. So I can't believe Fishtail's actually pulling this off. Like, everything on paper just said this isn't going to work. But look how hard Sheld was pushing. His softs are already almost toasted. So, I mean, Fishtail's tires are definitely nothing to write home about. But and his fuel tank as well, because we're getting ready to start the penultimate lap. I'm not 1,000% confident that there's going to be enough fuel to last the rest of the race, but by God, is Fishtail going to try? Slow-mo, what do you think of what we've seen so far in this race? This has been absolutely insane.
It is, like I said, a ton of different strategies. I mean, who'd have thought that we would get to see a Shaggy strat today? You know, I think there were some rumors about it, but you know, you hear that stuff and you think nobody's really going to do that. Well, here you are, and it looks like it's paying off pretty well. You know, although what I'm looking for is, can Shell hold off Krulub if both of them are able to catch Fishtail? Because he's going to be on worn softs by the end of the race, where Krulub's now got himself, you know, a worn set of mediums, but they're definitely not as bad as those softs or Fishtail's trashed mediums.
Honestly, I didn't even consider Krulub, but you have a very, very good point. If Fishtail defends really hard against Sheld, which he's going to have to do because he's almost out of fuel, he's pretty much out of tires, but Sheld is also out of front tires. And speaking of Sheld is right there on Fishtail's keister now, and it looks like Fishtail has jumped onto the defensive line. So if Krulov can catch up within the next lap in like a 10th, which I'm not sure he'll be able to, he might get a 2-for-1 special. Looks like Sheld is able to get the overtake done on Fishtail, but there's Krulov right there. Krulov is ready to capitalize on anything, as these two are side by side coming into the final lap of this Division B race. Looks like Fishtail has the lead somehow. I don't believe it. And coming into turn 1, who's gonna get it? And it looks like it's going to be Sheld for the time being. But it looks like Krulov is carrying a ton of speed, and will he be able to move past Fishtail? Yep, like he is standing still. No, never mind. Oh, yes. I'm hearing a lot of tire squeal from Fishtail, but he's able to keep it on the track. I am so impressed right now. So Sheld is back in P1, Krulov is back in P2, and Fishtail is defying all odds and racing on a no-stop strategy. I just hope he's got enough fuel to finish this thing. Looks like the deficit between Sheld and Krulov is about a second, so I think Sheld is going to push this car to the very limit on this final lap. Coming up into the uphill bank, how's this going to shape up? It looks like Sheld is understanding a little bit on those worn softs, but not too much to really cause a fuss. Coming into the next long sweeping right-hander, and it looks like Sheld's going to be holding on pretty nicely for right now. So I think Sheld is in a pretty confident position to be able to hold on. Now the gap between Krulov and Fishtail is now gaining ever more, as it looks like Sugar Shovels has overtaken Fishtail to take the last podium step. But will that be the end of Fishtail for this race? We don't know. As they come across the line, it looks like it's going to be Sheldologist taking the race win, with Krulov taking P2, and rounding our podium is going to be Sugar Shovels, followed by Fishtail, who had no fuel left. Coming on to the start-finish straight for the final time, it looks like Corridor wins the battle for P5, and Hondo takes P6. Santa Miguel pretty close in tow in P7, followed by Strict 9, rather close behind as well. MK3 Double T is going to be taking P9, followed by Arsarzilla, if I had to wager a guess. Now, let's go and take a replay of the final moments of this race for the last podium spot. Looks like Fishtail just couldn't carry enough speed. I think that's when he started running out of fuel, and Sugar Shovels was able to just dance on by him, give him a nice wave, maybe blow him a kiss bye-bye, and thank you for the podium spot. Well done to Sugar Shovels getting that last-minute podium spot. My goodness, this was an amazing race. Like, oh my lord. Now, making our way over to the provisional classified results for Division B, we have Sheldologist taking the race victory with an overall race time of 34 minutes, 38 seconds, and 356 milliseconds. Followed very closely behind Krulov, by half second, and they had a very good battle for the entirety of this race. Getting the last lap for the podium spot will be Sugar Shuffles, who was eyeballing it for the entirety of those 23 laps, followed by IRT Fishtail doing the impossible and taking P4 for his efforts, with Corridor rounding out our top 5. Making our way down the grid, we'll have Hondo in P6 with Santa Miguel in P7, followed closely behind by Strict9, as well as MK3 Double T taking the fastest lap of the race. We didn't even touch on that. MK3 took the fastest lap with a 1:27.538, with Zilla rounding out our top 10. And since MK3 took the fastest lap and he was P9, he still gets a bonus point, if I'm remembering that correctly, Slow-Mo.
No, 100% right, yes.
All right, and then making our way down the grid, we've got Fernando Button in P11 with Stumpy rounding off our racers for this race. This was an absolutely mesmerizing race. Gentlemen, any final thoughts on what we just saw?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I thought it was awesome that you had, so many different strategies, and look at how close those guys were. As far as Fishtail goes, I loved the strategy. I loved the approach. It just didn't look like he had the tire or the fuel towards the end of the race to keep up with Sheldologist, who was absolutely on a heater there at the end.
Yeah, honestly, I can't wait to interview these guys and just pick their brains about this race. Leo, are there any questions already formulating in your head?
Oh, there's several. But I'll wait until they get in here to ask them. One, how did RJ do that, and how does he always sneak into the podium? Is what I'm going to ask him. So we get to hear that again. Man, I'm just blown away by how these guys were able to keep these cars together. Like Fishtail on no tire on a front wheel drive car that needs the front tires to turn and go. That just is amazing to me. And then Shell just hunting them down the entire time. I'm pretty sure he put in the work, and we definitely saw it today.
Yeah, he put in a ton of work, and honestly, by the end of that race, Fishtail wasn't even racing on tires and fuel. He was literally racing on grit, determination, hopes, and dreams.
Indeed.
Yes, he was.
That was great. Now, honestly, if we do a driver of the day, we haven't even gotten to the Division A race, but I'm already trying to figure out candidates. But I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit. But I think it's time we jump on into the interviews. So let's. Oh, my apologies. I spoke a little too soon. But yeah, honestly, I'm blown away from the race that we just witnessed. Everybody gave it 110%, and I'm getting word from production that it is now time we get into the interviews. And it looks like we will be starting with our P3. We'll be starting with our P3 finisher in good old Sugar Shuffles. RJ, fantastic race. How are you feeling after all of that?
What's up, everybody? Obviously pretty good. I was basically the last lap, and I was telling my chat on my own live that P4 is just what I get in NRL. I finished P4 in the Division B. I think I've finished I don't know how many races now in P4. And I was just saying, apparently I'm just trying to not have to interview, and all of a sudden Fishtail must have just missed the strategy call. It looks like he had one heck of a try there. But yeah, feeling good.
Yeah, that was an amazing strategy, and it was awesome to see you pull off the last second step on the podium. So you were in a heated battle for that last podium step the entire race. What do you think really gave you the competitive edge over the other drivers that were also in that heated exchange for P3?
Luck. Uh, a little bit of luck. A lot of bit of luck. Between that and I undercut Core by pitting one before him, and that's where the luck came in. He ended up coming out, and he was behind Stumpy, who was on another strategy, and it looked like I just pulled away after that. And I assume it's just it was hard to pass out here. It was a fun race, and you were close to people, but it was just tough to find a spot to get around people. So, that undercut, and then just having luck where the traffic happened was most of it.
All right. I mean, yeah, I know luck is a big factor in this, but that was a really good strategy in pulling off that undercut. Slow-mo, do you have any questions for good old RJ?
Yeah, I mean, as Toon kind of alluded to it looked like you and Corridor had a really good battle going there. As far as Fishtail running the no stop, is that a strategy that you were prepared for anybody to do today, or did you not expect to see that?
I thought it was possible. I never practiced it. That's just too much for me to. There's too many options in there for me to screw up. Too many laps for me to mess that strategy up. It's basically the only one I took out of my pocket. I, I I was thinking somebody might try it. It was definitely bold, and with us all being so close, and it was thin margins, it was definitely worth a try. So I mean, shout out to Fishtail for giving it a go. He almost got glory on that one. So
Yeah, a really, really good race. I mean, looked like you were very consistent. As we were kind of riding on board with you, we certainly didn't see any glaring mistakes, and it seemed like everybody really did a good job with that. Even considering how difficult this car was, did you like this car? Is this a car you enjoy driving?
Uh, yeah, I actually did. It's been a while since I've driven the TT. I don't think I've driven it since a daily way back when. I already forgot what it was, but it was a fun car. I like driving the random off meta group cars that we just don't get in dailies. It's just super fun to learn a new car, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I really found a good consistent pace, and that's really all I was trying to hit tonight. So it
Yeah,
seemed to work out, and I'll take that P3.
yeah. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right, Leo, do you have any questions for good old Sugar Shovels?
Of course I do. Congratulations, Sugar Shuffles. Good to see you up here finally.
Yeah, it's been a little bit.
Yeah. So you touched on it a minute ago. How many different strategies did you come up with before the race? And which
I mean,
did
there's a
any of
variation.
them? Oh,
Sorry, what was that, Leo?
did you have to switch mid race on any of those strategies? Was my
Um, so I had, quite a few that were just kind of ranging, depending on how much you were saving tires, how long you could, make how short you could go on the mediums. I, I could have gone in 2 laps earlier and probably still been okay. That last lap on the softs would have been sketchy. But I kind of let it flow and just watched around me who else was pitting and what was going on. I also had a soft that I thought about, but that got real sketchy. So really, I only changed once in my head during the race. I just decided to go one more lap because I was in Corridor's slipstream, and I felt like he wasn't holding me up. I couldn't pass him, but he wasn't holding me up. He had about the same pace. So it was nice to stay in that slip, but I knew I wanted to undercut him. So I went one more lap hoping he didn't pit. And like I said earlier, that's where the luck came in. There was some skill keeping quality laps down, but the luck came in right at the end there where I got the, undercut on Core and came out in front of him. So
yeah, it definitely paid off, that split-second decision to, well, let's try this, and well, it worked out. But again, congratulations, dude.
thank you guys.
Yeah, congratulations indeed. And before we let you go, I got one final question for you. You're pretty much a day one NRL competitor, and this is, if I'm remembering correctly, your 6th season doing this. How does it feel to be back doing this astounding racing in this league?
It's great to be back. I did just, so we have the record down. I did miss one season. I forgot which season, if it was season 1 or 2. No, it wasn't 1. I think it was 2. But yeah, it's good to be back. It actually gave me motivation to get back on the game in general. I've been pretty rusty before this, barely ran anything. Barely even got liveries done. Shout out to myself. Anybody need a sugar shuffle livery? Hit me up. But yeah, it's good to be back. The NRL definitely gets us all going again. So I appreciate all you guys and McNaughty for putting it on. Everybody behind the scenes who's not up in the booth. You guys do a great job. So thanks.
Thank you so much for that, RJ, and congratulations one last time on your P3. You go rest and relax and enjoy the rest of the show, and hopefully you are anxious to see what round 2 will be at the end of the broadcast.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
All right, now let's move on over to P2 in Krulub. Krulub, how are you feeling after all that?
I'm still shaking. It was an exciting race, and yeah, for me, it's only my second season, and to get on the podium, it's amazing. So I'm stoked. Like I said, I'm still shaking. I didn't have enough fans blowing to keep the sweat out of my eyes.
You know, this league will definitely do that to plenty of our drivers. So Slow Mo enlightened me that in between season 5 and 6, you did a lot of practicing and a lot of racing. Can you walk us through what you were doing and what you were trying to focus on in between season 5 and today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, number one, I upgraded my equipment, and that made a huge difference. Got the load cell pedals finally, and really, really focused on my throttle control and my um, uh yeah, can't even think of it, my braking, just getting into the corner a little bit later here and there. I was always wanting to slow down pretty early, so I was working on that, and just hitting that line is really been what I've been focusing on.
Yeah, it honestly looks like all of that has really paid off. Round 1, P2, you had a great battle with Sheld. Before I kick you over to Slow-Mo and Leo, can you walk us through what was going through your head that entire race as you were in that heated exchange with him for 23 laps, almost nonstop?
Yeah, I knew I had the speed on several of the turns, and I would get close enough, but there were just a couple turns on that track that he would pull away, and it was lap after lap, same spots. I would get a little bit closer, and then he'd pull away, and I just throughout the race I kept thinking I've got to hit these turns better, near the end of the track, and I just couldn't improve on that going throughout. I noticed that as we got later on the stint on tires, and I don't know what he was running on, but I was getting closer and closer um, to him, as the laps went later into the tire stint. So uh, it, it was frustrating to say the least, because I get so close, and I know there was a couple. One turn he made a really nice kind of not I'm not saying block, but just play defensive move and slowed me down a little bit because I knew we both had a really good race going, and I didn't want to run into him or cause any issues with the way that we were both running. So hats off to him for staying ahead of me like that throughout the race.
Yeah, that was just a great battle. Leo, do you have any questions for Krulub?
Yeah, congratulations on the P2 Krulub.
Thank you.
How much time did you put into practicing what you did there? And did you think it was going to be that close the entire time?
I did not. This when the car selection came out for this round, I was stoked right away. This is one of my favorite Group 4 cars that I have the most miles in out of any car that I own in a Group 4. And so I was confident right from the get go that um, I could run this track pretty well. And so I really focused on knowing, what was going to keep me consistent and my strategy over the week. So, I like to run custom races. I don't jump into a whole lot of lobbies, just because then you get the true feel of sometimes racing against other cars. So I did that several times throughout the week. Tried a couple different strategies. I went with the medium just because it was seemed to be the most consistent throughout the entire race, and I knew how fast for me in this particular car. With my driving style, that those softs were going to fall off and my time was going to drop. So throughout the week, that was really what I was focused on. Being consistent on those mediums over the course of the 23 laps.
Yeah, indeed. Consistency is key. But again, congratulations. I'll kick it over to Slow Mo.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, Crew Love. I know we texted a little bit before the race. Even you kind of gave me some insight on what your strategy was going to be. It looks like you executed it perfectly. I mean, half second off the lead at the finish line. You can't be too upset with the second place when it worked out like that, right?
Absolutely not. No, it was a good finish. I know I made a couple mistakes, and I could have maybe been coming down that finish line neck and neck, but I'm happy with the P2 for sure.
Yeah, really impressive. Obviously, you handled that car really well throughout today's race. I know you mentioned it. You weren't sure which tire compound Shell was on. He went to the sauce when he went into the pits. So, it looked like you did a little bit. I don't know if he juked you into the pits or if you were intentionally going in there to do the undercut. Did he kind of psych you out, or what was your thought then?
No, I mean that was my planned pit stop time. But I wasn't. I race in VR, so it's really hard to see like what other people have are on. I had no idea what he was running on. I assumed he was on mediums at the beginning, but I figured, if he was gonna go, I knew that if I came in when I came in, that no matter if he pitted that lap or even the next one and went to softs, they were going to start falling off. And I mean, it came down, like you said, a half a second. I think maybe if I had stayed out one more lap with him, because I was right on him at that point. I might have been ahead, and we came in, and he came out of the pits at the right in front of me. So we were still close from even after that pit. It just
Yeah.
I think I just needed another lap. That's all.
it was very exciting to watch. I mean, you guys put on a really good race today. So, congratulations on your first NRL podium, sir.
Thank you, and congrats to Sheldologist too for that first place, and RJ for third. Great job, guys.
Thank you very much for your time, Crew Love. You have yourself a great rest of your night, and go take some well-deserved rest. You
I
have
will.
certainly earned it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now we must have a lovely chat with our race victor for round one. Sheld, you had a very insane and intense race. How are you feeling now that the dust has settled?
I'm feeling excellent. I just want to take a second to say we're thinking about Papa and the family and Jersey as well. They've had a rough little bit here, so I just want to say
Yeah.
thoughts and prayers out for those guys. Um, the race went well. I went kind of according to plan. I wanted to actually go one more lap on my opening stint, but having Krulov, I didn't want him to undercut, so I had to pull the executive decision to pull in one lap early. Luckily, I was able to stay in front of him and pull out a gap while my softs uh, were still fresh. I think the gap was about 5 seconds at one point, and if it wasn't for or Fishtail out of left field had no idea he was going to be running. Somebody was going to try a no stop. I didn't even contemplate that. He shout out to him for hanging in there and being able to attempt that. I didn't even think about it, but he kind of slowed me up about a second and a half coming down to the end of lap 22 there. So then I just managed the gap for that last lap, knowing that I had point 0.8 going into the lap. Just no mistakes, keep it clean, and hit my braking points and turning points, and don't run wide anywhere.
Yeah, that actually does raise a question. Of course, you had to focus on, hitting your apexes, keeping it clean, making sure you don't overdrive the car too much. In all of that mess, how often were you looking in that rearview mirror just to see how close Krulov was to you throughout that race?
I think it was must have been lap 10. I put it a little bit wide into the gravel coming out of the long right-hander at the top of the hill. Sorry, long left-hander at the top of the hill. I had to keep an eye on him at that point. Other than that, I just drove my race, hit my marks, and not overdrive the car. Let the car rotate before I got back on the power, and it just worked out.
Yeah, it definitely worked out in your favor, and it was a very, very hard fought and well earned victory. Slomo, do you have any questions for Sheld?
Yeah, Sheldon, just first of all, congratulations on the victory today. Well executed strategy. We talked a little bit yesterday while you were doing some practice, and you mentioned you actually went into the pits about a lap early. We knew you were managing your fuel very, very, very closely to Sheldon perfection, if you will. So, were you surprised that it was as close as it was at the finish, or were you expecting to be able to pull away on those softs a little further?
I didn't expect Fishtail to try the no stop, so I got down to about lap 18, and he still wasn't pitting. Got to lap 19, and I realized, oh, he's going for no stop. I really got to move. I was expecting to fly past him when he was stopped in the pits, but at that point he was about 8 seconds, 7 seconds ahead. So I really had to pick up my pace and stop managing. Once I got past him, again, that last lap was a managed lap, and just keep my distance. I did have to protect the inside at one point with Krulov coming in. I guess it would have been the right hander before coming into the last sequence of turns to get to the end of the lap. But other than that, it was just steady, drive my race, not worry about what's happening around me and behind me, and just keep it consistent.
Yeah, well executed plan. Leo, what do you have for Sheldologist?
Well, congratulations, Shell. Got P1 first race. Good job, dude.
Thank you.
Oh, I had my question. Now it's escaped me. Did you expect that the race was going to be as close as it was going into it?
Yeah, I think there's in this B lobby, there's so many fast drivers still. Like you don't expect you expect the drivers of this caliber to not make mistakes, and that's what we have to. That's pretty much what I was expecting, and just minimize my mistakes, drive it clean, and I knew I had the pace to put up a good lap, consistent lap, and wasn't too worried about. Once I got out in the lead, I wasn't too worried about what was behind me, especially since I could control that gap. It's if you're not running into the chaos and the carnage, makes the race a whole lot easier. Go figure, racing out front is quite a bit easier.
Indeed, it is. Well, again, congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's all I got.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Go rest. Kind of get those post-race jitters out of you, and just sit back and enjoy the rest of the broadcast, and hopefully you'll be excited to see what comes for round 2. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great night, Sheld.
You too, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Picotti, for putting this on, and good luck to everybody in the top group.
All right, and with all that said, we are going to take a brief intermission, and when we come back, we will have our Division A race. So go get a drink, get a snack, take your dog out, call your mom, do what you need. We will be back at you here in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody, to round one of the NRL's sixth season. We have had an amazing race so far. And before we get into the provisional Division B standings, just want to quickly give another special thank you to the DGDR podcast, Hanky's Tavern, Little JCPA, Lithograph Comics, and the Mist Chronicles. Thank you all so much for your support this season. It means the world to us. Now let's go and take a look at how the Division B standings are looking right now. So, taking P1 overall at the moment is Sheldologist with an astounding 28 points, with Krulov in P2 with 18. We also have Sugar Shuffles in a tie for P2, it seems, in terms of points with 18 as well. Moving down the order, we've got Corridor in P4 with 13, Fishtail right behind him with 12, Hondo with 8, Santa Miguel with 6, Strict 9 with 4. We have MK3TTSKR with 3, Zilla with 1 in P10, and we've got a tie for P11 with Fernando and Stumpy sitting at 0 at the moment. That was an amazing race, and luckily we've still got plenty of racing action left ahead of us this season for more points to be had. Now, time for us to go and take a look at what our Division A drivers will be up against this week. So, for round one of NRL 6th season on Friday, we have our Division A drivers racing in the illustrious SRT Tomahawk VGT Group 1 car around Circuit de St. Croix, still can't get the pronunciation right, Layout B. There's going to be a 10-minute qualifier with an initial fuel level of 25 liters. The start type will be a grid start with false start check this time. Brake balance will be allowed. There will be 18 laps on 4 times tire, 3 times fuel. They will have a full tank of gas when they start, and damage is set to heavy. They will have the racing softs and mediums available, but there are no tire requirements. Going on over to the point scoring after that race, Slow-Mo, I think we need a refresher on how these points shake up.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you. So, as you saw it play out in our first race, the race winner is going to get 25 points. There are some points that are still out there from qualifying, so that can give these guys a little bit of an extra bump up. Second place gets 18 points, third place 15, and down the line from there. There is a race bonus for the fastest lap, and that will be 1 point. That driver has to be in the top 10 to acquire that extra point.
Thank you very much, Slow-Mo. Moving on over to our driver lineup for this round. We have Alicos, Bells 1S, we have Chief Apollo 11, the True Serum, Flux Flare, IORT Azriel, Jorge Sr., Moose 21, Negative Waves, PhD Shaggy 88, S7R Wid, Talon, Twitch Hako 1337, and VIP Player. Listed next to their names, of course, is their YouTube or Twitch channel should it be applicable. Feel free to go and take a look at these drivers while they stream, but please make sure you leave a tab open and unmuted so you don't miss any of the racing action. St. Croix, a track I personally have some not pleasant feelings about, but I know there are some people that really enjoy this circuit. I know there's also people that really enjoy Group 1 machinery. And Leo, before we get into all this, what are your thoughts on, the circuit itself? I know you're a diehard believer in the Tomahawk, so let's just focus on the track.
I actually am not a fan of this track at all. There's too many technical sections to where it could just end your race.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Slow-Mo, do you have any thoughts about this car track?
Well, I mean, the car itself is a rocket ship. It's the polar opposite from the last vehicle we saw at St. Croix track in one of our previous finals. Wasn't that the DeLorean? Am I mistaken? I might be getting mixed up, but this is a fun car to drive here. It is all about your brake points and making sure to get yourself slowed down appropriately for the turns.
I mean, this is a Group 1 car. It's very downforce dependent, so dirty air is going to be a huge factor. There are so many straightaways on this circuit that it's real tricky with all these sharp corners as well. You've got to nail your braking points. Now, as we are underway with our qualifying, our drivers are doing their outlap. We are currently on board with HRA's Hako 1337. Who is currently sitting behind Moose right now in terms of just placement on the track. Since there are no qualifying times, nothing is set in stone, of course. And it looks like these drivers are really just dancing around this. I don't know how they do it, but they always just make it look easy. On screen is the driver card for Hako. He is part of Team Hako Racing Academy, where he is the proprietor. On a manual transmission, currently has 5 season points from qualifying, and you can find him on YouTube and Twitch at Hako337. Now, as they round the last corner and get ready to start their hot laps, it looks like Hako is in slipstream range, and I think that slipstream is going to be very, very beneficial, not only for the race itself, but for this qualifying session as well. Moose and Hako are already bumper to bumper as they dance around this rather long circuit. Now taking a look at Moose 21's driver card, he is also the proprietor of Moose Mafia Racing on a Fanatec DD Pro, racing on a manual transmission, and also has 5 points from the pre-qualifying session. And it looks like Hako's already trying to find a spot to do an overtake. I don't know if right now is the time to be doing any defensive maneuvers. This is qualifying, but hey, these guys know what they're doing. Ooh, and looked like Moose got on the grass for a minute there, which allowed Hako to finally get into clean air, and I think Moose is shaking his head at himself or something. I've never seen a driver shake their head while doing that, but then again, he could also just be trying to clean up his tires. Slow-Mo, do you think we're going to be seeing some really close action like we did in the last race with these super fast machines?
I do. I think these guys are going to be very close with their qualifying times. Expect to see the board changing as we get right towards the end. So it's very possible somebody could pop up from the lower portion of the rankings and get themselves a good position for the start.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, one of those potential candidates right here is S7R's The True Serum. He's currently racing on a manual transmission, has 3 points from the pre-qualifying session, and he is just blistering around this track. But it looks like Azriel too is right there, so we're going to be seeing a lot of heavy hitters in this one. Ooh, looks like Azriel clipped the wall and got a little squirrely, but was able to prevent himself from spinning. And it looks like Truth currently has the fastest lap at the moment with a 149.892. That is definitely not a time to be taken lightly, but Wid comes in with a 149.841, with Jorge Sr. with a 149.363. Everybody's jumping all over the place right now. We just got our hot laps underway. We are going to be seeing shakeups probably for the next 6 minutes if they keep this pace up. This is just absolutely mind-boggling, Leo.
Indeed, Toon, it is. I mean, these guys are, I'm sure, have put the practice in. They know what to do with the car. They've got low fuel to start with. They're probably going to get maybe 2 laps out of that, maybe 1 flyer, and then they're going to have to come in. Ooh, as we see Wade get a little squirrely on that uphill section going onto the bridge. That was a little sketchy there, but still making ground up.
Yeah, he's up 0.03 of a second right now, and yeah, Wid is definitely pushing this car like there's no tomorrow. Just before he got onto the bridge, he was maybe 1/10 of a second from kissing the wall. So I think this car also really wants to test your bravery as a driver, because you are having to take some very, very brave lines. As Wid is up almost an entire 10th, he's currently up 0.09 of the fastest lap overall in Jorge Sr. And those two are definitely no strangers to battling each other. My goodness, can they just slug for days. Wid does kick up a little bit of dirt that might slow him down just a touch, but we'll have to see what becomes of that as we get near the end of this lap. And it looks like Jorge's up almost 1/10 himself, so I guess it's going to be who comes across first. But if they're both up 9.3 of a second, I think we're going to see them qualify at the exact same time, which will probably be an NRL first. Oh, but Jorge's going into the pits. No, you had the fastest lap. And Alicos comes in and takes the overall fastest lap of the 149.262. Let's see what Negative Waves has, and it's a 149.897. Whoa, that thing just zoomed off screen. My goodness, I knew it was fast, but that was like Sonic speed. Now taking a look at Negative Waves coming out and resetting, going for an outlap. Looks like he's going to be right behind everybody's favorite Eternal P1 in Talon. So going over to VIP player, he is doing rather well. Slow-mo, how's everything looking on your end?
Yeah, Hawko is actually, I've been riding on board with him for the beginning of this lap. It looks like he's got himself in a very good position. It's been purple through the first few sections there, so see if he's able to keep that up and jump himself up into the top, into the single digits there.
Honestly, if he's going purple right now, then yeah, he's definitely going to be up there. But the question is, just given how aggressive a lot of these drivers are with their lap times, I don't think it's a question of anybody getting to P1. It's a question of how long are they going to be at P1, because these guys are just really giving it everything they've got. Now we've got Hako coming across the line. What is the time going to be? It's going to be a 149.234. Just almost 0.03 of a second ahead of Alicos. So yeah, this is going to be down to the wire just for qualifying. And if qualifying is going to be like this slow-mo, I shudder to think how close this race is going to be.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we know these guys can push it, and you put them in these rocket ships, and it is going to be a fun race to watch. This is certainly an exciting track. There's definitely a couple areas that can get the car unsettled, but you're talking about some of the best drivers, in the league here. They are not going to have a whole lot of trouble navigating this track.
You make some very solid arguments there. These guys are, the creme de la creme of NRL drivers. They're in Division A, and they definitely do have a stacked plate in front of them. So regardless of who finishes where in qualifying and who finishes where in the actual race itself, they're not going to get there without the fight of their lives every single round. As Alicos go goes purple by about 0.05 of a second. So yeah, we're going to be seeing some more shakeups for the next about minute and a half of the proper qualifying. As Alikos gets squirrely. Did that cost him some time, though? We'll have to see when he gets to the next time check, because it looked like that was a bit, yep, it did quite a bit of damage to his time. Now he's only up about 100th of a second on his personal fastest. But luckily, there's still a little bit more of this track left, so there is time to bounce back and shake that dust off. I didn't even think about that bump coming onto the bridge, so very astute of you, Slow-Mo, for mentioning that one. I completely spaced on it. And it looks like Alikos is up almost 1/10 of a second now. He did not stay down long. So we're going to have to see if Jorge, Wid, Truth, et al. Have any retorts for whatever time Alikos is about to set, because he is nearing the finish line for the qualifier and looks like he might have enough time for one more qualifying lap. And purple up by 1/10 even, so looks like Alikos is going to be a man on a mission, revving the daylights out of this Tomahawk as he is approaching the final corner for this hot lap. What will it be? Shifting down into third, getting back onto the throttle, shifting up into fourth, and away he goes. What will Alikos give us? And it looks like Alikos sets a 1:48.974. Let's go and get a look at that replay. So here we've got Alikos coming around the final corner, getting near that wall, but staying on the curb, and he just guns it across the line. And yep, a 1:48.974 for his trouble, up 1/10.5 of overall in the fastest lap. Now we've approached the end of the proper qualifying. People are on their final laps. Those that are in the pits and those that have crossed the line about 8 seconds ago will probably not get another lap. So it's all down to here as Hako is up 1.3 tenths. So it looks like we're going to see yet another last second shakeup. My goodness, guys, we haven't even started the race yet. What are we doing?
Yeah, Toon Moose is also up yeah, like I said, the end of this qualifying is going to be exciting. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, everybody's going for and Hako's purple by about 0.04 of a second. Moose is up. Yeah, it's going to be down to the wire. I can't even fathom who is going to start pole position, as we've got Hako clipping the grass and coming on in as he approaches the start finish line. What is this time going to be? It's going to be a 1:49. Ah, he didn't get the purple. So that leaves Moose to see if he's going to get the last second pole position. He's up by 1/10 right now as he is approaching the final corner. You can definitely lose some time here, so it's going to be he's going to have to run this corner absolutely perfectly to not run the risk of losing the chance at pole position. And he comes through and looks like doesn't take near as much track, but he does have a little bit of slipstream. Is that going to play to his favor? Looks like it will not. He also lost the overall fast time, but he takes P2 for his troubles. So Alikos can breathe a sigh of relief that he is at least 700th up. Ooh, Asriel clipping the wall, or at least the dirt, it would appear. And coming across the line with a 1:50.026, down about 1/2 a second. These guys are just going absolutely mental already, as we've got Negative Waves rounding out his final lap. Let's see what it's looking like for him. Getting a teensy bit squirrely under braking. Didn't even consider that one. And coming across the start-finish line to finish. Oh, it was an outlap. But a valiant effort nonetheless. That was a very good-looking lap. And I believe that should be just about everybody. That... for a second there, I couldn't tell if we were qualifying or if we were already racing. Leo, what did we just witness?
I think we witnessed both. I think these guys are pushing these cars to the absolute limit. Just in qualifying, I shudder to think what they're going to do in the race. It's probably going to be even faster. I mean, these are the cream of the crop, like Al said. I know I wouldn't want to be there because these guys would be flying by me like I'm sitting still. So I am stoked to see what these guys can do.
Yeah. I am definitely stoked as well. But before we get into all of that, I do want to also quickly take a moment to send a special thank you to PHG's Hector for the $9.99, The Crawler for the $4.99, and Corridor for the 50 Mexican pesos. Thank you all so very much for your generous donations. Again, this goes straight into the prize pool for the drivers, our production staff, of us up here in the booth, and every single bit goes a long way. And we thank you all so very much for not only your support, but your viewership. It is an honor and a privilege to have you guys here. Looking at the classified qualifying results, Alikos holds on to P1 by the skin of his teeth, as Moose is only almost 700th of a second behind him, and Hako only a 10th to the T behind as well. We've got S7R's Wid coming in at a 149.133, with Jorge Sr. rounding out our top five with a 143.363, who I believe is still nursing an alleged hand injury. Making our way down the grid, we've got S7R's The True Serum, followed by Dark and Azrael in P7, with Chief Apollo in P8. Going on over to P9, we have Negative Waves, followed by Talon rounding out our top 10, with VIP Player, PHG Bells, Flux Flare, and PHG Shaggy Doo rounding out our grid for this evening. This is going to be an absolutely mental race if qualifying is anything to go off of. Slow-mo, I don't think we're going to be seeing a battle for P3 between these drivers. I think we're going to be seeing a five-way shootout for P1. What do you think?
It is anybody's race right now. You look at those top, 5 drivers, 6 drivers separated by a half a second. Anything can happen between those guys. And again, there's a couple different strategies these guys can do. Do not be surprised if you see Shaggy doing Shaggy things during this race. So this is shaping up to be an exciting race. Get your popcorn.
Yeah, definitely get your popcorn, get your coffee, get your water, get whatever you need. Leo, we've got a stacked grid. Everybody's going to be right up on each other. Who do you think's going to walk away with this, with just this level of close competition? P1 through P6 separated by only a few tenths in total.
I hate to say it this way, but we're going to have to wait till that checker flag drops, because I can't make a guess on who is going to get it, because they're all the fastest people I know, and I don't think I can single out one person to be like, yeah, that's going to be the person. It's going to be a shootout the entire race for these guys, not just from P1 down. Pretty much, it's going to be nonstop. These guys are going to have to be on the cutting edge of their concentration level to keep this car under control.
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And also, they're going to have to nail this start too, because this is a Group 1 car, and we are doing a grid start with false start checks, so it is easy to screw this up. I think we'll be seeing many a driver using traction control to get off the line, because otherwise, I'm not sure this is going to be a safe start for anybody not using TC at least 2. Is my goodness. I don't know if we'll see anybody, have Deputy Fishtail, or I'm sorry, IORT Fishtail as their spirit animal and try and do a no stop, but I think we're going to be seeing some unconventional methods. But I think with that, are we just about ready to get underway? Because I am chomping at the bits to see how this shapes up. All right, looks like I'm getting the countdown from production, so everybody make sure you are fastened to your seats and make sure you have something to maintain your blood pressure, because with how intense this race is about to be, you are going to need it. So please make sure you have some water and call your doctor if you have any extended heart palpitations from this race.
Speaking of Toon, I think you're going to need a hot tea after this one.
I've already got some in my hand right now, just waiting to see how this shakes up. Our drivers are lined up, just waiting for those lights to come on and then off. Everybody is playing for keeps here, and we are just on round 1. It is going to be an insane way to kick off Season 1's Friday Division A, as they are now off. It doesn't look like anybody had any squabbles coming off the line, so business as usual. These guys are absolute professionals and are definitely World Tour level drivers at the end of the day. Looks like Alikos is going to be leading the charge, and it looks like Moose is going to lose P2 to Hako at the moment, but he is not going to stay down long as they are side by side, and everybody is just bundled together. Coming into the first of many heartbreaking zones, it looks like Hako's getting a little squirrely, but is able to hold onto the car, but just. So looks like Moose is going to be able to walk away, and Wid will take P3 off of Hako's hands for the time being. Now Wid's lifelong rival, it seems, in Jorge Sr. is definitely close, so it is going to be very interesting to see how that shakes up as they come into the bumpy bit, coming onto the bridge, and looks like nobody decided to get some intimate time with the wall, so that is a sigh of relief for all of us here. Wid is now coming across the bridge and is rather close to Moose. Looks like about a half-second gap, and jumping on over to Chief Apollo, who is currently just deep in the mix. Looks like Talon is side by side on negative waves. Oh, we have almost 3 abreast coming into the bend. My goodness, gentlemen. Save some fun for the rest of the race. Oh, my Lord. We are just out of the gates running, Leo.
Yeah, we are, man. I mean, this is Group 1 action. With people that actually know how to run in a Group 1 car, and it is still the first lap, guys. We could calm it down just a little bit or crank it up to 11 and let's go.
You know, this is Division A, and Slow-Mo, I think between mine and yours combined history in this league, I think this does look to be about par for the course for Division A. What do you think?
100%. I mean, I've been excited for this race all week. It is going to be a banger. It's just gotten started, and they've only given us a taste of what's to come. Quick heads up for you. It looks like Arrow being the only one on track on the soft compound. Everybody else started medium.
Really? That is very interesting. So we've got Chief Apollo over here on the soft, who's a free agent on the Logitech G Pro wheel. Currently has 3 points from the qualifier. You can find him on YouTube at Boyd_Gaming. And honestly, Chief is looking to be in prime position right now. He's currently behind Jorge Sr. and Hako, 2 insanely fast drivers who, if he can just keep in their slipstream range, will probably propel him to a very, very nice spot in the overall standings. Now, looks like Hako. Yes.
Forgive me, I said Arrow. It was Chief Apollo that started on soft. Arrow, I've got him mixed up. Forgive me.
You're all right. Hey, we're only human, man. Now, looks like Hako is on the bumper of Wid, but Wid is going to try and defend that podium position. Now, Wid does have his hands full here because he's got Hako behind him, he's got Moose and Alikos ahead of him, and he's got Jorge behind him. So this is a very interesting position to be in if you're a driver. And it looks like we've got Jorge trying to find a good opportunity to get an overtake on Hako. Coming into the right-hander, doesn't look like that's going to be the opportunity, but Jorge is keeping up with the rest of this pack. So, yeah, nobody can be counted out by any stretch of the imagination. Coming in towards, coming in towards the final corner, and it looks like it's going to be a game of who can take this corner better. Looks like we've got Hako missing the apex and just belting on out. That might be his racing line. Now, Jorge Sr., part of Team Papa's House of Game, coming in with a 151.935. And looks like he's trying to get side by side with Hako at the moment, or at least it looked like from that camera angle. But either way, these guys are giving it everything they have. And we are only a 1/6 of the way through this race. I don't know what is coming over these guys, but my goodness, if they can keep this up for the remainder of the season, we are going to be seeing highlight reel after highlight reel, Leo.
Yeah, man, we are. I mean, like we said earlier, these guys are the top in their class, and in Division A, we know these guys personally. Most of them have been in the NRL for a few seasons. It's always great to see them come back and provide such good racing and honestly fast driving and something to aspire to.
Yeah, it's honestly motivational to see just the dedication and the racemanship that these drivers have, not only in Division A and not only here on Friday, but in the NRL as a whole. It takes practicing to a whole new standard, and it takes sportsmanship to a whole new standard as well. We've got Truth coming in and trying to get an overtake on Flux Flare. Will he be able to make it stick? It looks like he does. They went too wide through that. Are they going to be too wide through this corner as well? It is definitely looking like it. Now it looks like Truth was able to get a little bit more speed, and it doesn't look like Flux Flare had enough momentum to get a cut back through, but that is A-okay. Now Flux Flare is just about 0.3 of a second behind Truth at the moment, but he does also have talent in tow. He gets a lot of grass on that one. That was a little bit of risky business, but I mean, if Flux Flare can make it work, then you know what? Power to him. Coming onto the start-finish line to start lap 4, he is in pretty prime position. I know he's in P8, but just look at how close his grid is. It's definitely not going to be over anytime soon. Flux Flare taking turn 1 like a champ and just making sure he is within earshot of Truth. These drivers are doing everything that they can to capitalize on each other. Now, Alikos is still leading the charge at the moment, but he has got Moose rather close behind him as they come up to probably the dodgiest part of this track. Hitting that bump and coming up onto the bridge, it looks like Alikos is able to hold on to P1 and get onto the bridge without any concern. Honestly, Slow-Mo, do you think that bridge might catch a driver or two out in this race?
I do. I think as we get further on along in the race, you have a little bit of tire degradation. The fuel changes the weight of the vehicle. I think we will see it catch somebody off guard. Maybe not too many, but definitely somebody.
Yeah, I think that's the elephant in the room, just sitting there. Now looking over at VIP player, let's see what's going on with him. So it looks like coming on up through... I don't see any damage, so I don't think there was any crash that put him back here. Maybe he just lost a bit of traction or a pit stop. Now, VIP player does have a bit of a task ahead of him, but we've still got 14 laps and anything can happen. It looks like Wid has taken P2 from Moose for the time being, and Alikos is still comfortably sitting in P1. The amount of practice these guys have put in must just be borderline obsessive, because P1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are just right there. And I don't know, Leo, you've raced in this and you've seen situations such as this. What do you think the level of pressure is on each of these drivers right now?
For Alikos, it's super high, of course. He's trying to make sure he hits all of his marks, keeps the door closed from anybody gaining on him. And then again, these guys behind him are all chomping at the bit for him to make a mistake, and that bump is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, that would throw me off so bad. Watching these guys go over it is frightening to me, but it's also the way these guys can keep a level head and not go full send all the time. A little bit of reservedness is needed.
Yeah, I know you definitely want to be a little conservative and be a little more reserved in some of your lines and how you take some of these. That bump, honestly, it almost makes my heart stop for a second when I see somebody like get a lot of wiggle when they hit it, because I'm sitting here already like expecting the worst. And I don't know if that's just nihilism or just not knowing how these drivers are going to like take this. But I always just think, oh no, somebody's about to crash, please no. And then they just pretty much get the car pointed straight and they're like, haha, made you look. Now jumping on over to Alikos, who looks to be actually getting a bit of a gap now between himself and the rest of the pack. Went from about 3/4 of a second to just a little over a second, but for how long? As they come up into turn 1, it looks like Alikos is getting into that rhythm, and we're a third of the way through the race. Those mediums actually have quite a bit of life left in them, and that fuel tank's sitting real pretty too. I don't know, Slow-Mo, could we see no stops?
I think it's very possible. Like I said, watch out. I feel like Shaggy may have practiced the no stop, so it's certainly an option out there.
Yeah, I know that Shaggy is definitely one for unconventional strategies, and I mean, just judging by the fuel gauge and the tire wear, I don't know. I don't think we'll actually see somebody make a proper pit stop unless it's for some sort of damage or if you're on the softs. And the only soft runner I can think of right now is Chief Apollo. Now, as we take a look on board with Talon, who is about a second and 3/4 behind Truth, but is about 2.5 seconds ahead of Flux Flare, he's in a very comfortable position to get his pace down. And I think if he can get the pace down, he should be catching up to Truth rather soon. Now, taking a look over at Dark and Azriel, who is right there on Flux's tail. I don't know what slowed Flux Flare down, but Azriel is starting to move on him like he's standing. Oh my goodness, Azriel almost lost the car, but he saved it. I don't know how these drivers do it, but hats off to you and infinite respect for being able to keep these cars under you, because Jesus Christ. Now, it looks like Flux Flare was able to get a little bit more ground from him because of that little squabble with Azriel, but Azriel almost four-wheel drifting the car around the final corner and onto the start-finish straight. I've seen some creativity in my days, but four-wheel drifting a Tomahawk to get around a corner is not something that I would have ever expected in my wildest dreams, as, we saw Bells and Azriel do a spot of rally crossing. Looks like Bells was able to get on track just fine, as was Azriel. Looked like Bells took a little bit more of the brunt of the dirt on that one. Negative Wave's getting a little tail happy as well. Wow, this car really does not want to be your friend, does it, Leo?
No, it doesn't. I've driven this car a few times, and its big brother a lot. This one's a little tricky. Under braking, it likes to do some weird fishtail maneuver. And even under throttle, if you give it just too much steering, it will do that little wiggle thing that we keep seeing this thing do.
Yeah, I am seeing a lot of fishtailing. I think we need a sheriff to deputize it. Now, bad joke out of the way, let's focus on Azriel, who is trying to catch up to Flux Flare, but also has Negative Waves and Bells right behind him. So I don't think Azriel can really afford any more tail happiness from this. Making our way back up to the grid, and Alikos now only has a half-second gap between himself and Wid. It looks like Wid is really coming into his own and getting his rhythm down. So Alikos will definitely have to defend like there is no tomorrow. So I don't know, Slow-Mo, with this game of tug-of-war we're seeing, do you think this is going to be the trend for the race? Do you think something's going to give? Because right now, I just cannot make heads or tails on how this race is going to go. As we also see Chief Apollo go into the pits.
Yeah, so Toon, to answer your question, I mean, I really think these guys are just trying to keep themselves in their position, really kind of bide their time and see if they get an opportunity. If the driver in front of them opens a door that they're just going to have to walk through. We saw Chief Apollo hit the pits, so those softs did not play out nearly as well as the mediums are holding out for these guys. Look at the tank. He's got a half tank, and the tires really don't look too bad at this point.
No, it definitely doesn't. The only thing that's really causing me any sort of anxiety is just how tail happy this car is. And I'm really not seeing any drivers using traction control either. So, these guys are just getting this car in its, natural, unkept state. And I should also throw out, these guys are getting very close to that wall on the outside for this bend. It looks like Jorge flipped the wall! Oh, that's gonna really slow him down. He's got damage on his bumper and on his wheel. I don't think he'll be able to really run the rest of the race with that. I don't know if that even qualifies as a curse, but that is just heartbreaking to see. Well, let's go and take a look. What are we? What? All right. Sorry about that, folks. But yeah, I think Jorge is going to definitely lose some time and probably have to pit. Leo, would you keep driving with damage like that on a car this powerful?
No, I would definitely be going in the pits. since this car is aero dependent, it would slow you down quite a bit, as we see Jorge Sr. going into the pits to remedy his unfortunate thing that happened.
Would it be in his best interest to just put on a new set of softs and get a little, or a new set of mediums and get some fuel? Or do you think enough time has elapsed in this race to where he could possibly try the softs? Because we did see Chief Apollo go into the pits and get off those softs about, what, 7 laps in?
You know what? I believe it is time to put the softs on and go full out and just try to make up as much ground as he can after that unfortunate incident into the wall.
Yeah. I guess really the determining factor will be how Jorge feels on that one. And yeah, oh my goodness, this car does not want these drivers to succeed. Because you got the bridge, car wants to get away from you. Coming up towards the bend, car wants to get away from you. Under braking, car wants to get away from you. Some of you, if you've heard this one, driving, this car wants to get away from you. So, these drive. Oh my goodness! Look at the amount of speed Wood just carried. Where did he find that? Wow, that was an insane slingshot from the outside from Wid. That was beautifully done, and can he make it stick? That is going to be the $1 million question as they are nearing the end of the 9th lap and starting the latter half of this race. Looks like Wid is going to be holding on to P1 for the time being, but now Alicos has a very hungry Moose in tow. And it looks like Hako is going into the pits as well. Will he be hopping on softs? We will have to wait and see. Jumping on over to the Truth Serum, who's going to take P5 for the time being, as we've also got Talon up in P4. Flux Flare moves up into P6, and it looks like Truth is about 1.25 seconds behind Talon at the moment. So they're still within, battling range should any of the bumps. Ooh, and Negative Waves goes for a spot of rally crossing. Looks like we've got Asriel in P7, and I don't think going into the grass really slowed Negative Waves down that much, because he is right back on Darken Asriel's tail, but he's getting tail happy again. I don't know, Slomo, do you think you can handle this car? Because I couldn't. This thing is way too much.
No, it's a beast. Make no mistake about it. It is a lot to handle, and it has given these drivers everything they can handle. And you'll see the drivers are using, not to mention it's as if it wasn't hard enough. They're using every single inch of track they can find. Dipping tires in the dirt and a little bit of everything. So these guys are pushing hard.
Yeah, they are pushing hard, and should also make special mention that Negative Waves is on a controller, just using a good old-fashioned came-in-the-box DualSense, and run the manual transmission. So with him driving like this up in Division A of the NRL, it does not matter what you have. It doesn't matter how you like to drive. If you are fast with it, you are fast with it, and do not let anybody try and sway you otherwise. If you are comfortable with how you race, then by God, just keep on racing. As we see Negative Waves racing and trying to get the overtake on Asriel. Looks like he was side by side with him for just a couple moments. It was really looking like he was able to get side by side and get an overtake done. Now, Asriel is definitely doing everything he can to hold on to P7. Negative Waves is very, very hungry for some positions right now. It looks like Asriel is going to be going into the box as well. I did not expect to see this many pit stops. Oh, Asriel has quite a bit of damage. I didn't even see that. All right, jumping on over to Hako, who currently has Bells in tow. Don't know where that Southern draw came from. So coming into the final corner, and it looks like Hako was able to carry just a little bit more speed, has that slipstream, and it looks like Bells just gave the position over, and when he did so, it looked like Bells may have lifted a little bit because Hako carried a whole bunch of speed on that start-finish straight. Looks like Hako is going to be going purple by 0.07 seconds at the moment. Coming up onto the bridge and narrowly misses danger for the 11th time this race. My lord, how do people find this circuit fun? This is anxiety-inducing. Coming into the hard braking zone at the end of the bridge, and up into the uphill portion where the car can get squirrely yet again. It looks like Hako keeps the car pointed in the right direction and is currently chasing down negative waves. And yep, he is on the racing softs. With 7 laps left, I don't know about you, Slow-Mo. I think those softs are going to last the remainder of the race.
I agree. I think he timed it perfectly. You know as well as I do that Hako's put his practice in. He's got a couple options of how he wants this race to go. So I was a little surprised to see him go into the pits as early as he did, but here we are, and he's certainly going to make those, he's going to stretch those softs out as long as he can.
Yeah, and it looks like we've got Wid and Alikos as well as Moose coming into the pits as well, as Hako goes purple by about 1/4 of a second. So that's going to shoot Talon. Oh, never mind. Talon and Truth have also gone into the box as well. Who else is going to be going in? It looks like Flux players going into the box. And that's going to shoot Hako all the way up into P1. No! Alikos leaves with just enough time. That is a very short pit stop. Looks like Hako is now in P1 and Alikos is only down to P2. Jorge Sr. was able to dethrone the fastest lap though and has now set the new fastest lap of 150.559. That is an insane time. These guys are doing everything they can. Speaking of Jorge Sr., we have seen him jump all the way back up to P6 from his early pit stop. Chief Apollo is now up in P3. He pitted first out of all the racers and is racing on those mediums, and I don't know, he is just giving it everything he can. If he can keep this momentum up, we might see Chief Apollo hold on and keep P3 for at least another few laps. Wid is coming in hot though, so it's gonna be definitely a difficult task for him. Now, for those of you just tuning in, good evening. Toon, Leo, and Slow-Mo, pleasure to have your company. You join us as we are in the latter half of our Division A race for NRL's Friday Round 1. And my goodness, if you have missed any of this, I implore you, on my hands and knees, please, after this broadcast is over, rewind and watch everything you have missed. It has been an amazing and energetic night, both here in the booth and down on the circuit. Now, Leo, if you're in Chief Apollo's position, you're the only medium runner in a field of what appears to be predominantly soft runners. Where do you think the defense is going to really be the most important?
I think trying to get them to burn their tires up as much as possible. So defending like crazy, make them try to follow you and make them be more aggressive on their tires. That way they can wear them out, but also not losing too much time on the same hand. He's definitely got his work cut out though, because soft tires on a Group 1 car, you're flying. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and speaking of flying, Alikos goes up by 0.07 of a second for the fastest lap overall. Looks like Chief Apollo has Wid right behind him, and I didn't even consider how do you think the medium tires will handle like the jarring bumps getting on and off the bridge, Slow-Mo, because obviously they're not as grippy. So do you think it makes the drivers a little more nervous, or do you think you can trust the car in that situation?
Well, I think when you're talking about drivers at this level, there's much less of them getting nervous. They are trying to make sure they are as predictable as possible, right? So I don't think that's necessarily what they're experiencing, but maybe a little bit of a difference between the soft and the medium compounds as you go through that little sketchy area. You know, the tire difference can make a difference for these guys. You know, with this car, honestly, I think it's really going to make a big difference on the braking points for them more than anything.
You know, that's actually a really, really good point, because Chief Apollo is on the mediums, and oh my goodness, Wid is trying to find everything he can to try and get around Chief Apollo, but he has not given up the ghost on that. But since Chief Apollo is on the mediums, naturally he is going to have to, you know, brake a little sooner. So that does have to catch out these soft runners at least a little bit. Now, didn't catch Wid out too much because he was able to get the overtake, but it doesn't look like it's fully cemented yet because Chief Apollo is right there with him. Now jumping on up to Alikos versus Hako, and Hako is in the lead, but just. It looks like Alikos is doing everything he can, and it looks like Alikos is up by 0.03 of a second, and also, might I add, has the fastest lap at a 150.015. So if he keeps this momentum up, he'll be the first one to break into the 49s. Now, looks like Hako and Alikos are getting a little squirrely getting onto the bridge, but neither of them are giving up even a single inch. Now, Wid is starting to pull away from Chief Apollo, and it looks like Moose has a 1 second penalty behind Jorge, possibly for a pretty severe track limits infringement. So I don't think Jorge's going to have to worry too much about Moose at this current juncture, because even if Moose does get ahead, he'll lose it at the penalty line. So it looks like Jorge only has focus on trying to catch up to Chief Apollo, and looks like Alikos shoots it up the inside and gets the overtake done on Hako. What a beautiful move from Alikos, but looks like Hako's not going to take that standing up and just sends it on the outside. Oh, gets on the score line, and Hako spun. Oh, no, oh my goodness, what happened? Oh,
We're all in shock. Yeah.
That is heartbreaking to see. Okay, so Hako's currently sending it up the outside. Gets it, and it looks like just a little bit of a net code or a nudge, and it just sends him around. That is devastating to see. That is gonna definitely be a steward's inquiry at the end of this one. Now jumping on up to Wid, who is now in P2 and is about 1.5 seconds behind Alikos at the moment. So Wid is in prime position. He's given himself about a 2-second gap between himself and Chief Apollo, and is currently purple by about 1/10. So, Leo, do you think Wid has enough time to get the overtake done on Alikos, given the pace that they're both going at right now?
I believe he does. If not, it's going to be as close as he can get. But Wid being Wid, he's a really fast driver. I believe he'd be able to catch up to him, and probably, it's going to come down to the last lap on them two, whether Wid can make that pass or not.
Yeah, that is going to be really, really close. Like, if either of them take P1, it is going to be a borderline photo finish. My brain is just all over the place right now due to how intense this race has been. And one thing I do want to touch on is, since the spin, Hako does have rear bumper damage, which is going to heavily affect his downforce for the car. Leo, if you had to wager a guess, do you think it's gonna be super impactful, or do you think since this is the Division A race, he'll be able to, keep it under control? We've got Wid hitting the wall too. What? Everything's coming. Everything is coming undone now. Let's go and take a look at what happened there. So here we've got Wid absolutely driving like a man possessed, coming up into the final corner, getting onto the curbing, hard under brakes, gets onto the throttle, and it looks like he got onto the throttle just a hair too early and kissed that wall. Now he's got front bumper and left wheel damage. It is all coming undone, folks. Good God. Oh my goodness. So Jorge Sr. now has a pretty good opportunity ahead of him. If he can get past Chief Apollo and get up to Wid, just due to the front aero damage and also the wheel damage. Oh, and Jorge kisses the wall but doesn't get any damage. That was very lucky. I did not expect everything to start unraveling like this. Slumma, what are we witnessing here?
Well, Toon, we talked about it earlier, as far as how tricky this car can be. You put it on a track like this with a couple really, really touchy spots. There can be mistakes to be made when you're going this fast. It's so easy to blink or sneeze or, just do anything that takes a split second to kiss a wall, or maybe, maybe somebody didn't see the car next to him. I'm not sure what happened with the first incident. So a lot of racing still left to go, even though it only looks like it's a couple laps.
Yeah, we are down to the anti-penultimate lap, and I don't know. There's still much more racing ahead of us, but I think it's gonna devolve just due to how light the cars are, how worn the tires are, from a race into just a fight for survival if this keeps up. Now, Chief Apollo is very valiantly, mind you, holding on to P3, and it looks like they are definitely both within earshot to a, albeit injured, Wid, but even injured, Wid is still rather close to Alikos. I just don't know how this is even possible. And yeah, to your point, like, it is easy to sneeze, it's easy to blank, or, you know, if you're like me and you suffer from, you know, tics and stuff like that, it's easy for your body to just spaz and just cost your race for you. So, like, hats off to all of these drivers for showing the discipline and the dedication, determination, the 3 Ds of success to getting around this circuit and finishing this arduous race. And bear in mind, folks, this is only round 1. So we've still got more intense racing ahead of us in the coming weeks. And I don't know, Leo, we're seeing fuel lights on, we're seeing tires starting to just give up. Do you think everybody's kind of in their final slots, or do you think these drivers are going to start making these cars cooperate?
I think we're about to see these guys go all out and push it to the max. That is my feeling. It's getting down to the last lap desperation. They're going to full send it everywhere they can.
Yeah, speaking of desperation and giving it everything he can, Jorge is getting that car super squirrely. And this car has what, like 1,000 horsepower or something?
That would be its big brother, the Insano Tomahawk. I think this one's only at like 750 if I remember correctly.
Honestly, I think even 750 might be too much, because this thing must weigh as much as a sheet of paper. Now, looking over at Moose and Talon, looks like they're sitting pretty comfortable in their positions at the moment. And going on up to the front in Alikos as he comes around the track for the final time. That fuel light is on. Those tires are looking rather worse for wear. Coming on to the sketchy, bumpy bit part 1 for the final time this race. Avoids the bridge. Now we'll have to see if he can avoid any calamity coming off the bridge. Alikos has been giving it everything he's got. He's had an insane race, and coming into the second sketchy bit and comes away just fine. Now, these are worn softs. Understeering is definitely something that could spell disaster for Alikos, as he almost gives a smooch to the wall. But he is able to avoid disaster and is getting ready to come on through. Just absolutely belting it out of the corner and coming into the hard braking zone. How is this going to look? Moving on over to Jorge, who has taken P3 from Moose. Oh my God, 3 abreast between Apollo, Moose, and Jorge. This is going to be one hell of a way to finish the race, folks. Oh my goodness. Looks like Jorge has the lead, but just at the moment. Coming into the downhill section towards the final corner for the last time. Will he be able to make it stick? Will he be able to get this perfect? Will the stars align? As we also take a look at Alikos, and Wid hits the wall yet again. My goodness. Coming across the line, it will be Alikos, and Wid will take P2. Jorge was able to make it stick just enough to get ahead of Chief Apollo, who took P4 from Moose in a photo finish. I would love to see a replay of that if possible.
Wow.
Let's see if we can get a look at it, and jumping on over with Wid, Moose, and Chief Apollo. This cannot be understated enough at just how amazing this last bit was. Coming up through the penultimate curve, we've got Jorge Sr. ahead of Moose and Chief Apollo, and it looks like everything is looking pretty comfortable. And I just, wow, what a race we have just had. Like, my goodness. Fuel is borderline not existent. We've got VIP player with unfortunate damage, but a never say die attitude. VIP is coming around and bringing it on home for all of us watching at home. I hope he has enough time to make it across the finish line. Everybody watching at home, let's give it up for VIP player for sticking it out. Just showed grit and did everything he could. He just believed in himself, and mad respect to you, VIP player. Very valiant effort. I hope you have even more success in the coming rounds ahead of us.
Little something for the fans.
Hey,
Well done, VIP. Oh my goodness. Taking a look at the provisional results for the Division A Round 1 race. We have Alicos taking the race win and the fastest lap at a 150.015, followed by Wid in P2 with Jorge Sr. close in tow taking P3. Making our way down the grid, we've got Chief Apollo, who did everything he could to hold off Wid and Jorge Sr., followed by Moose rounding out our top 5. We've got Talon in P6, Truth in P7, Azriel in P8. Going on over to P9, we have Flux Flare followed by Negative Waves rounding out our top 10. We've got Bells in P11 and Hako, who unfortunately fell down into P12, followed by Shaggy in P13 and VIP player bringing it on home in P14. What a fantastic race and fantastic hustle from all of the drivers. I don't know about you guys, but my voice is pretty much trying to tap out on me. What a race we just had. Slow-mo, what are your thoughts?
Man, these guys did not disappoint. I mean, I expected nothing, nothing less dramatic than what we got here at the end. Battles all the way down to the final straight. Man, that was exceptional racing.
Yeah, that was exceptional. Leo, what were your thoughts?
about the same as slow-mos. You put a fast car on a walled-in track, there's going to be action everywhere, and for these guys to keep the car mostly together, hats off to them, because this track does give me anxiety too, as well, Toon, and I couldn't do it. That's why I'm not doing it. That's why I'm up here. But
Yeah.
all in all, it was fantastic to watch it. I mean, the battles from P1 all the way pretty much down the grid, and the close calls and some unfortunate calls happened, but a fantastic race to watch.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That was just go, go, go. And I cannot really process everything that we just witnessed, just because there was so much happening at such a high speed so many times that I'm at a loss for words, flabbergasted, if you will. I just, yeah, what a race. And that is definitely going to set like the overall tempo for the rounds ahead of us. Like, I cannot stress this enough. It is round 1 of all things, and we are having this insane of a race. So I don't know. Slow-mo, do you think we're going to be seeing close racing like this, or do you think it's going to get even more intense going forward?
Oh, more intense, no doubt. I was going to say this is just the beginning. This is what the NRL is all about. It's so much skill out here, and this is just Friday, right? We haven't even seen Saturday yet, so I'm excited to see what those guys will do tomorrow too. It's incredible. It is incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. I am just so mad that I have to work tomorrow, so I'm gonna miss a good portion of this. Leo, do you think we're gonna be seeing some insane racing, or do you think this was the pinnacle of it?
I think it's only going to go up from here. So the more insane moves and the more brave souls that we're going to see try some crazy things, it's going to only get turned up even more as the season progresses.
Without a shadow of a doubt. But let's go and have a word with our podium finishers. We'll start off with Jorge Sr. Jorge, you had an unfortunate collision towards the start of the race, but you were able to climb your way back up to P3. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I made a lot of mistakes qualifying, then in the race. So a little disappointed, but I don't know that it would have made much difference. Pretty tough race.
Yeah, that was a very, very tough race. We noticed a lot of the cars coming onto the bridge and getting off the bridge, getting rather squirrely. Was there ever a point in the race where you were kind of sitting there thinking the car's going to run away from you?
Not really. I mean, you just kind of know that those are the two spots, or getting on the bridge, especially, kind of the spot you got to be careful. So I might have got squirrely like once or twice, just a little bit, but other than that, I knew that I just made it a point to be pretty careful through there.
I gotcha. Leo, do you have any questions for Jorge?
Of course I do. Congratulations, Jorge. Good to see you up here.
Thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. What was your strategy going into this? I know you had that unfortunate incident. Did it kind of play to an advantage almost to have that happen in a way so you could change the tires?
Yeah, I think if it would have happened a lap or two later, it might have been okay. Although, I don't know, that doesn't really make any sense either. Yeah, in a way, it kind of helped because then I just came out basically in free air and I could just sort of run hot laps and people up front were fighting and or crashing. Um, but yeah, so the strategy was not to go medium, but I didn't want to do softs for 11 laps or whatever it would have been after that crash. So
Yeah. Well, all in all, it looked like it worked out for you. Congratulations again.
thank you.
Yeah, and Slow-Mo, do you have any questions for the man that fought his way up to the podium?
Yeah, I mean, Jorge, well done. Congratulations on that third place finish. Tell us a little bit about, that towards the end, it was hard to say if you were going to be able to catch some folks and gain positions. And the next thing we knew, we looked up and it was like a party out there. So what were you working on to try and get by those guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to pass in these cars, or at least I thought so. I don't know how everyone else feels. Just the dirty air is crazy. I tried to make a couple moves on Hako early on in the race, wasn't able to get him done because very difficult to pass. And so, yeah, with Chief Apollo in front of me, I knew time was running out, and I thought, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it done. Like, yeah, I can sort of sit on his rear bumper, but my tires were pretty dead. I'm sure his were pretty dead. And then he made that mistake coming off that sweeping right hander. And then I kind of hit him, and then I saw Moose flying up behind us. So I just pulled to the right to kind of take a defensive position. I'll have to go look at it to see whether it was blocking or not. Certainly wasn't my intention. But so yeah, it was just it all just kind of came together at the end. I for sure thought Moose would have been able to get around me, but I guess he wasn't able to. So I'll have to go look at the replay.
Yeah, well done again. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, congratulations. I do have one final question before we let you go. So given the amount of practice and the intensity of the race, do you have a newfound respect for the car, the circuit, or both after it's all been finished?
Yeah, I guess maybe the car. I mean, when I first drove that car, which was the first time I ever drove it in this game, starting to practice for the race, I said this is like an arcade car. It's almost impossible to crash. It just has like unlimited grip. But then as time went on, yeah, I crashed it a bunch in practice, and I realized it's not as easy as I thought it was. The circuit, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tricky circuit in some ways, just, and then you put the two together and something about it. I think so many fast turns just made it really difficult to pass. I think maybe on a different track with more, a lot more slower turns, you might have seen some more passing. I'm not sure how much there was really going on because obviously I was in my own little bubble, but it seemed like we were in a pretty good train there for many, many laps.
Oh yeah, it was it was a mile-long train. You guys were just right on each other, so it was a sight to see, and I hope you had fun with that. But thank you so much for your time, Jorge. Please go try and relax, and I hope you're excited to see what you'll be dealing with in round 2.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everyone.
All right, making our way on over to P2 S7R's Wid. Wid, you had quite the race. How are you feeling?
You know, I'm both happy and disappointed. If you told me coming into this race that I would get P2, I would have been pretty happy with that because I was not feeling confident at all. But then, of course, near the end, I demonstrated why the dirty air is so tough to race in and hit the wall. So that was a bit anticlimactic. So can't help but be disappointed with that, but is what it is.
Yeah, I can definitely see the frustrations. But I mean, you still shook off the damage. You raced it to the best of your abilities. You still finished P2. So, I mean, that is really commendable. Instead of focusing on like the car or the track, outside of the NRL, we have seen you and Jorge go blow for many races. At any point were you kind of like hoping you would be battling him during this race, or were you kind of hoping to be as far away from him as possible, just given the track record you two have of always being right there with each other?
I mean, it's always fun battling with Jorge. This race, I honestly didn't really expect to be battling with him just because of what I said before. I didn't have that much confidence. So I'm just kind of happy with where I was. I think for the rest of the season, I would expect us to be, pretty back and forth. So, it was good. He seemed to have made a good comeback. So it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, that was honestly impressive from everybody in this race. I don't know how you guys got this car down, but somehow you did. Leo, got any questions for dear old Wittabuddy?
Yeah. Congratulations, Wid, on P2.
Thank you.
Was this your first time driving this vehicle?
Yeah, I didn't own it before he announced the combo.
Okay, that seems to be the going rate with everybody here. What did you find the most difficult about the track and car combination?
Following other drivers, the dirty air had such a huge impact on the race, and I bet most others would agree with that. Makes it extremely hard to pass. And following in the close corners was near impossible.
Gotcha. Well, that's all the questions I've got. So again, congratulations to the P2.
Thank you.
All right, on over to you, Slow-Mo.
Yeah, Wid, well done, man. It's funny to hear you say that you weren't terribly confident. I mean, you brushed the wall a couple times and really had a great race. Still ended up in P2. The first time you brushed the wall, it looked like it was going to be more of a substantial consequence than it really turned out to be. Were you, what was going through your mind at that point? Were you worried that was it? You were going to get passed by a train?
I don't even remember the first time I brushed. Was that when I got damaged, or are you talking about something before that?
It might have been before that, and maybe it was a netco from our perspective. It looked like he caught the wall, but man, it was an exciting race to watch. I couldn't even imagine. Are you sweating through your shirt after that one?
You know what? I always sweat. Like I wake up in the morning and I just start sweating. So I can't help but sweat when I race. We could be, driving little Volkswagen Beetles and I would be sweating like crazy sitting here. So, I try my best no matter what.
Well, very good. Well, excellent race. Congratulations on that P2 finish.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yes, congratulations indeed, Wid. Very hard fought, and hopefully you can rest your head at night with a sense of pride, knowing you did better than you yourself expected. But please go rest, relax, and just sit tight for what you'll be dealing with in round 2. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and with that said, let's go and have a chat with our race winner in Alicos. Alicos, how are you feeling after that? That was a long one.
I'm still sweating. I'm still coming down.
I'm
That's for
detecting
sure.
a pattern here.
Yeah, that was intense. Um, I still feel really bad for the contact with Hawko, but I watched it back and looked like he got a little bit of oversteer from my perspective, and I just couldn't react to it in time. It might be something different from his perspective, but that's what I saw. But either way, I mean, I don't want to have contact with someone and take them out. So it's mixed feelings right now.
I can understand that. So, did you own this car before the combo wasn't out?
Yes, I did, but I
Oh,
had driven it very little.
all right, fair enough. So, if you were semi acquainted with the car, we'll go with. And what was one of the hurdles you had to deal with when trying to get this car and track combination down?
It was like you had to really build up to get all the confidence to go through all these corners because I'd say like with these super fast like GR1 cars, starting like your lap one of practicing is like so much faster than your end goal in qualifying compared to any other car. So you just need to keep chugging at it and just constantly trying to get those extra tens.
All right, I got you. Leo, do you got any questions for our race winner?
Yeah. Congratulations on P1 there, Alikos. I guess my question is, you were out there looking like you've put in a lot of time. How much time did you put in to this track and car combination? Because it looked pretty consistent, and you started pulling away from the pack for a good little while.
I think I did about 5 or 6 full length practice races. Um,
Oh,
Maybe a little bit more just in general practice on top of that. So maybe 3 to 4 hours, something like that.
oh wow. Okay. So quite a bit of time spent. It definitely shows the consistency was there. That was about my only question I've got.
Yeah, I mean consistency is key in a activity such as this, but then again, with how intense the racing is, it's almost just a full on like contact sport with how much everybody's been sweating. Slow mo.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on that victory, as well as getting the fastest lap here today. There's a couple spots on track that are, as we were referring to them on the broadcast, maybe a little sketchy, the bridge and maybe one other area. Were you tentative around those areas, or were you just sending it and trusting the car?
I was actually very surprised when I was following Hako how much risk he was taking on that entry to the tunnel or the I keep saying the tunnel, the bridge. He was like nearly hitting the grass, nearly hitting the wall every single lap. I was like very impressed. Like yeah, I couldn't quite do that. I would say that was probably my weakest corner there, but at least I was staying consistent with it and leaving a little bit of margin and not uh getting really squirrely through there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've been doing some racing with these guys, especially Wid and Jorge recently, and I know how hard they are to beat. And so you can't rest. Like I say, I'm leaving margin, but I'm going 95% still through there.
Yeah. Did you execute the plan you intended to from the very start, or did you have to adapt kind of as the race went?
Yeah, that was my plan strategy. Uh, I'm sure you saw that I ended up jumping Wid in the pits due to fuel
Hmm.
saving.
Yep.
So I was planning on doing a decent amount of fuel saving. I knew like it was probably too slow to try and not take any fuel, but I was trying to get as much done as I possibly could, and I knew it was hard to overtake here. So I was just trying to get as much fuel saving done while staying ahead of Wid at the same time.
Now, love it when a plan comes together. Well done. Congratulations on your victory today.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations indeed on a hard fought race victory. Get used to it because there's going to be plenty more ahead of you, and hopefully you can relax for the evening and hopefully be met with excitement when we reveal the round 2 car and track combinations. But thank you so much for your time. You have yourself a great rest of your night.
You guys too.
All right, everybody. And with all of that said and done, we're going to take one last break. And when we come back, we'll have the provisional standings for Division A. And we will also have the much anticipated combinations for Division A and B for round 2. So please stay tuned. Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the NRL, brought to you by the DGDR podcast, Hankey's Tavern, Little JCPA, Lithograph Comics, and the Mist Chronicles. Before we get on into the standings, would just quickly like to extend a special thank you to EJCR Stroker Ace for the generous $10 donation. It really means a lot, and we can't thank you enough for your support, but also your viewership. It means the absolute world to us. Now, let's go and take a quick look at the provisional Division A standings. So, looking on screen, we currently have Alico sitting in P1 with 31 points, with S7R's WID with 23. We have Jorge Sr. rounding out our podium for the standings overall with 20 points, followed by Moose in P4 with Chief Apollo valiantly rounding out our top 5. Running mediums, did not expect it. We've got Talon in P6, followed by Detrue Serum, IORT Azrael, Flux Flare, Negative Waves rounding out our top 10, Hako 1337 in P11, followed by VIP Slayer, Bells 1S, and PHG Shaggy Doo tied with 3 points. I should also quickly throw out that Hako and VIP are both tied as well with 5, and Azrael and Flux have 7 each. So we've definitely got some ties up in here. Now let's go and quickly take a look for next round's Division B race. I am super excited to see what we got here. Alrighty, what have we got here? We are at Brands Hatch in the what in the world is that?
What is that?
Okay, so we're at Brands Hatch Indy in the Bulgari aluminium VGT for 40 laps, 14 times tire wear. And we've got 4 times fuel consumption with a refueling rate of 5 liters per second. Oh my goodness, that pit stop's going to be forever. It's going to be a grid start with false start check. BOP will be on, heavy damage. There'll be a 10-minute qualifier, no fuel wear, but there will be tire burn for the qualifier. And, I didn't even know this car existed. I'm going to be 100% honest. I did not know this car existed. Leo, what do you think of this?
That's a car. I know the track, but okay. This is new. I have never seen this car. I'm gonna have to go get it and see what it's all about. It must not be super quick if it's on the Indy circuit. So, and on sports tires. So, right up T-Case's alley, I will say. But I've never seen this car.
Neither have I, and I honestly think T-Case will probably host a practice lobby for this one. And yeah, 2 words come to mind with this car and track combination: soapbox derby. Slow-mo, what are your thoughts on this?
Oh, I love the soapbox derby reference. That seems about appropriate. I'm with you guys. Not real familiar with the car. Brands Hatch is one of those tracks I know a lot of people love. I personally don't, but I know this is going to bring some good racing.
Hold on. How do you not like Brands Hatch? It is iconic. It's a mini Nürburgring.
I'm one of those guys. I like the tracks that nobody else does, and then the tracks that everybody else likes aren't my thing. So, Laguna Seca is the one I like, and most people are like, you're crazy. So, I apparently go against the grain.
So you like St. Croix then? That's what I'm hearing.
I didn't say that.
You said you like cars nobody likes, and nobody in the right mind likes St. Croix. Sorry, Flawed. But anyway, before I get burned at the stake, let's go and take a look at Division A. Okay. Oh, dear God. We're back at Colorado Springs, baby.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Division A, round 2. Colorado Springs in the Ford Mustang Group B rally car. We're off-roading, baby. This is going to be fun. We're doing 22 laps, no tire, no fuel. We're going to have no damage because, well, it's a dirt race. Grid start, false start check. BOP is off. We'll have torque distribution and brake balance allowed. There's going to be a 10-minute qualifier. Leo, we are going to be in for an amazing race with this one.
Indeed, this is right up my alley. Dirt track racing, rally racing, dirt, same thing. That's going to be interesting. I didn't realize this thing was 4-wheel drive if the torque distribution is on.
Yeah, that torque distribution's gonna play a huge factor in this, because brake balance, yeah, that's one thing, but torque distribution, that's a game changer. Slow-mo, what do you think on this one?
I love this track. The car is, that looks like that's going to bring a lot of fun racing for these guys. I can guarantee you one of our racers that maybe didn't have as good of a finish as he wanted today is chomping at the bit for this. So we're in for an absolutely awesome race with this one.
There's going to be 2, because Hako loves dirt racing, but Moose adores Mustangs. So I think we're going to be seeing those 2 side by side going over some jumps. I'm going to call my shot now on that one. But yeah, this is going to be amazing. But just because this broadcast ended doesn't mean we're at the end of any of the round 1 action, because round 1 continues tomorrow with the Saturday crew, hosted by the beautiful Flaw Genius Gaming, T-Case, and S7R's Tati. So please make sure you tune in at 1 p.m. Eastern time, like 6 p.m. British Summer Time. What is that? 10 a.m. Pacific time. Make conversions to your local time zone as needed. And with that, gentlemen, I think it's time we get on out of here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It has been, again, a privilege and an honor to have your company this evening. If you want to keep up with any of us, you can find Slow-mo over here on YouTube, where he plays primarily GTA Golf. It's actually quite entertaining to watch. Leo, where he streams iRacing, GT, Satisfactory, and whatever else tickles his fancy. And you can find me over on Twitch doing something. So with all that said, please be good to yourselves and each other, as the late Jerry Springer would always say. Stay safe, stay well fed, keep cool, keep warm, and we will see you all in round 2. Bye-bye for now.